If you've ever been chomping at the bit for spring to get started because you really want to get out on the golf course, then you'd be me. But also hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We're back for another week here. Happy Monday on Benzinga's pre-market playbook. We got a full week, and boy, what a week do we have. NVIDIA earnings coming this week. A lot to go over, a lot to get prepared for. We're going to start right here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on a Monday morning. Great to see all of you. Let's get it. Good morning. Happy Monday, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's pre-market playbook, where we break down all of the news stories and get you ready for the market day ahead. And then we trade with you as well. So should be fun. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Sun-kissed Yogi starting us off today with the good mornings. Good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Happy Mana Monday. I don't know the song, but happy Monday. I love that you're awake early singing. That makes me happy. ATCH setup beast today. Probably one of our best mover setups here this morning. We're going to definitely take a look at that. We'll see what we can get done trading wise on that. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see us. Sleep, coffee, trade. I don't know if I've come across a better YouTube handle in a while. Good morning. We will definitely be taking a look at Palantir and Tesla today. That I'm sure of. Chuck, good morning. Welcome back. Bigga Bees, good morning. Welcome back. I bet you're ready to go, Bigga Bees. Reaching financial freedom. Welcome back. Sideshow, welcome back. Jane, good morning. It's great to see you as always. Shadowed One, good morning. Yassine, good morning. Yassine, how about this? How about this 40-degree weather here in Chicago? I will take it. Good to see you here this morning. Ed, good morning. Welcome back. Jim Ferrari, welcome back. Good to see you, buddy. Day Trader, welcome back. What do you got lined up for us this week, Day Trader? Really good stuff. Welcome back. Creation has evidence in science. LOL, good morning. Welcome back. Fairchild, good morning. Benjamin Sloiter, I'm just going to call you Ben or Benjamin. How about that? Good morning. Welcome, buddy. Sebastian, happy Faloona Monday. Oh, what a weekend. It actually was a great weekend. I don't know how you folks did this weekend. I did a lot of relaxing, a lot of hanging out. I did some working out. I watched some TV. I basically just don't have a complaint from the weekend. Traffic wasn't really that bad. Costco was good. Just no complaints. And, made me feel good coming into Monday. And I'm ready to roll on a Monday. Hopefully you are too. Jonathan, good morning. Welcome back. JJ, good morning. World for everyone. Good morning. River, welcome back. Steve, good morning. Good morning, Ryan. Can you share how you get over the regret of missing gains? Good question. Yes, I can. If I had let my position on Friday run out, I would have made approximately 2.2 million. Okay. I don't think I've ever had an opportunity cost where I've given up millions of dollars. So I don't know if I can speak to that, Steve. I really don't. I'd like to hear a little bit more about your position in all of that. But I can absolutely go over some of the core fundamentals here. If I missed out on 2.2 million and instead booked a gain for like $10,000, I would probably, if that happened to me on Friday, I probably wouldn't be here today. I probably would have just taken a day off just to kind of decompress and think. But we can actually talk about that on a larger scale here. I'm not familiar with the scale of those numbers that you were just talking about. Progressive, welcome. Good morning. Diamond Hotline, good morning. Welcome. Rock on. Let's go. Let's start by taking a look at the SPY here. This is what we got. We had I don't think I need to tell any of you folks, but we had a nasty move down on Friday. Now, a couple of things here before we talk about the market outlook and where we went. By the way, a quick look across the board here. Futures green across the board. S&P futures up 0.5%, Dow futures up 0.66%, and NASDAQ futures up 0.4 here. So green arrows across the board. We should be in good shape. And this comes after a pretty wicked sell-off on Friday. It was bidless out there. Market sold off. We were on the show here. It actually tried to bounce a little bit. That bounce immediately got sold. We rolled over to the lows. We pressed the lows all afternoon. We didn't really trade up in the after hours. In fact, we didn't really trade up until the pre-market. I don't do any of that 24-hour overnight trading on Sunday. So I guess I really can't comment on that, but came in here today, not necessarily surprised to see us off the lows. If we take a look at the daily chart just to kind of figure out what type of action we actually had, look at this. So on Friday, we actually had some, fairly decent volume, 76.52 million. I mean, we have not seen volume numbers like that in a long time. Looks like just based on the stick here, we haven't had a volume day that high since January 10th, and that was 73 million. So it wasn't even quite that high. It was close. Looks like the last day that we had was these 3 days here, December 18th, 19th, and 20th of last year. Those were our biggest volume days. It's kind of what we saw on Friday. Anyway, what we ended up doing is we came back in towards this 50-day moving average, which just so happens to be right around that round 600 number. So we basically stopped right on support. Now, if we take a look at what happened the last time we tested this moving average, you can see it absolutely acted as support. One of the days that we tested it, we broke beneath it, closed back above, resolved higher. The next time we actually sank considerably below it, traded back up to it and couldn't get above it, and we resolved higher. Then after that, we tested it, resolved higher. So what's going to happen next? That's my question here for you. What's going to happen after this most recent move to the 50? Do we just chop around and stay in the same area that we're at? Or does something change here? Do we break down? Do we bounce and go to new highs? Boy, I'll tell you what, there'd be a lot of activity on FinTwit if that's what we did, especially after what we saw on Friday. I actually was on Friday, one of guys I've been following, I actually consider him a mentor, was just asking generally to the market participants, is this the same thing that we've seen? Is this a buy the dip setup, or does something feel different? And I'll be honest, I answered that it felt different. It really did. Now, we'll see what happens here today. One of the other things that I want to caution you folks on is that a lot of the times where we've come in the morning and we see the market down or we see the market up, it's the opposite that ends up happening at the close. Excuse me. So now that we're got a lot of green arrows here, do we stay green? Do we end up giving this up here today? Do we roll back over and test that 600? Do we retest this 50-day moving average, maybe looking for a close beneath it? A lot to kind of figure out here. Just because we've got green arrows here today, I'm not ready to say, oh, okay, everything's awesome. I do want to pay attention to see if it's going to be a risk on day. James here in the chat, risk on or wait and see or short it, baby. Pull, Ryan. Hey, maybe that's what we need to do. Producer, I don't know if you had a poll plan yet or anything like that, but I kind of like James's idea here. Risk on, risk off, or wait and see. And I guess if you want to change risk off to short it, baby, you can do that. You can do that too. I think that's really good. And I'd like to hear from you folks. What do you guys think here today? Don't be afraid of making calls. Remember, it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. We're going to look and see, figure out anything that we can here to position. So again, I'm hoping for a risk on day. That'd be great. I ended up not really panicking despite a lot of the red arrows and a lot of the stuff looking kind of crummy last week. Didn't panic and hung in there. So we'll see where we end up going here today. Okay, let me see if I missed anything here. Okay, looking pretty good. Let's talk about some of the stories here. Now, I will say I'm not going to necessarily read the entire story here. I do want, thank you, producer, for putting the poll up. That's awesome. Here is your link to the story. I will say there's some pretty good stuff in here. Most notably is going to be this list down here about halfway through the article. This looks like there's a bunch of upcoming economic data. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read all of this to you. I wouldn't expect you guys to remember this anyway, frankly. So maybe just kind of saving this. This can be a really good resource for you to go back to and take a look and see, hey, what are we expecting here this week? Because there's something pretty much every day on all of this, so at least with Fed speakers here. But I did want to cover a couple of things from this article. Number one, I wanted to talk about some of these quotes that Ed Yardeni has been making here. Now, again, we kind of already set up everything for where the market is. We know we've got NVIDIA earnings here this week. It's going to be the biggest event of the week and all that. And we know that we're gapping up here. But there are a couple of quotes that I wanted to cover here because I think they're pretty important. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. Yardeni said sentiment turned very bearish very quickly at the end of last week because investors aren't as sure about the economy's resilience as we are. So it looks like this is something that we've been talking about on both of our shows for a long time. When is the consumer going to weaken? When are we going to see that reflected in some of the stocks here? What does that mean for the overall economy? We remain impressed that it grew over the past 3 years, notwithstanding a significant tightening of monetary policy, a mini banking crisis, and lots of geopolitical turmoil. We continue to place bets on its resilience. This, to me, I think is the big standout thing for the market over the past several years. There has been no shortage of macro issues, whether they're abroad or here at home, and the market has absolutely remained resilient. Now, it's going to do this until the day that it doesn't. At one point, it's not going to be resilient anymore, and we can try to put bets on that or not. But this, one of the big takeaways, there's no doubt that this market itself has been resilient in the face of what the economy is doing. Goes on to say, talking about the anticipated NVIDIA earnings this week, Yardeni said that he expects to hear guidance that, quote, DeepSeek won't kill spending on AI infrastructure, including data centers, end quote. Okay, now this to me is extremely interesting because we actually got some news here this morning that I want to share with you. He makes a really good point. This is definitely something that we're going to focus on for the NVIDIA earnings, the conference call, what Jensen says. We've got a couple more things that we're going to pay attention to. But this right here, I'm going to read it again. DeepSeek won't kill spending on AI infrastructure, including data centers. Okay, well, I've got something else for you here, and I'd be happy to share it with you. Here's the tweet. You can save it if you want, but it's on the screen here. From Unusual Whales this morning, breaking news. Microsoft, ticker MSFT, has begun canceling leases for a substantial amount of data center capacity in the U.S., a move that may reflect concerns about whether it's building more AI computing than it needs over the long term. This piece of news is from Bloomberg. So it looks like we have kind of a standoff here, doesn't it? We got Yardeni. I don't know if he's making a call here, but he expects to hear. Okay, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He expects to hear guidance that the AI infrastructure, including data centers, won't change, but we kind of got some news this morning that would. So it'll be very interesting to see how NVIDIA approaches this and how they package whatever it is that they decide to say. Because I can make a case too that, yeah, well, they don't want to necessarily shock the market, but maybe they maybe they don't need to spend just as much money. Anyway, how they package this, how this comes out, I think this is going to be pretty key. And I just find it funny that we got that piece of news here this morning. Quote, the main risk is that NVIDIA will announce yet another delay in its highly anticipated Blackwell GPU, which was first announced March 2024, end quote. Now, this is another thing. This is perhaps the more obvious thing to look for from that NVIDIA report. I would imagine that if they report at all that the Blackwell chip is going to be delayed for any reason, that's going to be a net negative, and that's likely going to hurt the stock. Even if the company beats and raises, or beats in the top and the bottom line and has maybe inline guidance, maybe not even a guidance raise, I think if you hear anything like that, NVIDIA is going to be down possibly even double-digit %. But we'll see how it shakes out. We will see how it shakes out here. Okay, I think that was it. Louis Navalier, I know that I've been following a lot more of what he says. I know Tim Melvin quotes him and reads him all of the time. Definitely a good resource to go to here. The quote, the AI boom is here and now, and this means that the job market is going to go through some real upheaval in 2025 and beyond, end quote. Now, this comes as no surprise to us. We've been saying this for a long time. We've been trying to figure out where some of those changes are going to be. That comes as no surprise. Let's see. We got a nice little stat here from Charlie. And then again, really good list of all of the different Fed speakers here today. So there you go. That's what we're going to start off with for the market here today. I'm really excited to see what we do. Do we have any strength today? Do we give it up? Boy, if we give it up, I could see this turning ugly in a hurry. And if the buy the dippers are back, then it's just business as usual from what we're used to here. So, okay, now let's talk a little bit about Uncle Warren, shall we? Warren Buffett, after a stellar fourth quarter earnings, Warren Buffett, in his letter to shareholders, revealed that Berkshire Hathaway's performance exceeded his expectations. Oh, it was good. However, another important takeaway from his letter was that Berkshire's increasing investments in Japan. Now, he goes on to list some of these other companies here. Quote, we simply looked at their financial records and we were amazed at the low prices of their stocks. But as years have passed, our admiration for these companies has consistently grown. So if you know anything about Buffett and his investing plan, it's always long-term. Looks like he's always very upfront about investing in America and all of that. So this is notable here, finding quality companies in Japan that he is also investing in. These 5 companies demonstrate shareholder-friendly practices, according to Buffett. They increase dividends when appropriate, repurchase shares when advantageous, and maintain executive compensation programs that are slightly less expensive than those of their U.S. counterparts. So all of this is really, really good stuff. And this paragraph right here, this little blurb right here, this kind of gives you an idea of what to look for when you're looking at things that Warren Buffett might be interested in. So, we'll see what this means. I don't trade any of these companies, but this is kind of what's going on. Some more Warren news here. Warren Buffett favors 5% treasury bills over buybacks as Berkshire Hathaway's cash pile balloons to $344 million. A couple of quotes here from Lawrence McDonald that I wanted to go over because this is, I think, notable here. Quote, it's not the size of the cash hoard, it's the rate of change in the size of the cash that's most telling, end quote. That again from Lawrence McDonald here. And you can see in his tweet here, this one is about repurchases. I think I clicked on the wrong one. I did. Sorry about that. Give me one sec. Here we go. It's the one right beneath it. You can see how quickly or how much recently Buffett's dry powder is growing. And obviously, this is a very savvy investor that likes to buy things at discount. Sure seems to me, and probably most others, that by raising this much cash and getting this dry powder ready, he anticipates some type of market turndown at some point. I think that's really the big key here. So yeah, I'd like to know from you. What do you folks think about this? Does it matter? Does what Buffett's doing even factor into your daily plan? Like, do you even care about that? Does that make you look at other stocks? Let me know. Let me know what you think about that. But cash pile here at Berkshire, really, really growing and getting pretty crazy. All right, now let's talk about everyone's favorite event here. Everyone's favorite event here this week, NVIDIA earnings. I know I can't wait. I'm already excited for this. NVIDIA is poised to deliver another strong earnings performance this week, according to Wedbush Securities' Dan Ives. Stop me if you've heard Dan Ives saying something positive about a tech stock before. It's news to me, breaking news even, as artificial intelligence demand continues to drive growth for the semiconductor giant. Quote, we expect another robust performance and clear beat and raise special this week from NVIDIA that should calm the nerves of investors, end quote. Now, this is kind of where I'm getting to. So I can definitely see a scenario where NVIDIA puts up a huge number, looks really good, and the market says, whew, thank gosh, and just kind of goes about its business. But I could also see a scenario here where NVIDIA puts up a pretty good number, but there's a little bit of trepidation from Jensen or with some of the other things like the guidance, maybe even the Blackwell delivery cycle and all of that, that kind of shakes the confidence of the market. I could absolutely see that. And so I just keep reiterating, I do think that this is going to be important now, or this is going to be the most important event of the week. Now, as far as my prediction on whether or not NVIDIA beats, yeah, I suspect this is going to be a beat on the top and the bottom line. I also expect there to be some pretty positive language about the guidance. So I'm kind of expecting good news here. And it seems like Dan's expecting the same thing, but this just kind of further steelmans my point that if we get anything that's not good here, that's really likely to shake the confidence of investors. Now, Ives went on citing massive demand for drivers for the company's new Blackwell architecture and AI capital expenditure, fueling what he called, quote, the fourth industrial revolution. So who amongst you, do you guys think that this is the fourth industrial revolution? I know we've talked a lot about AI, how it's going to change things, how it's going to change jobs, how it's going to change companies, the whole 9 yards. But let me know, do you agree with this? Is this going to be the fourth industrial revolution? You let me know. Really quickly, just some added stuff on here. Evercore ISI also recently added NVIDIA to their tactical outperform list, emphasizing the 5 to 10-year technological lead over its competitors. I don't think that comes as any surprise to anybody. The firm noted NVIDIA remains the top choice for major tech companies, including Alphabet, Amazon, and Microsoft. That also should come as no surprise. So let's very quickly go back here and take a quick look at NVIDIA and see if we can't come up with something here in the chart. We do have Anne-Marie this week. So tomorrow for Anne-Marie's show, I almost think we should definitely at least touch on NVIDIA, even if she doesn't have a new trade for us. We should at least take a look at it. Here's what NVIDIA's chart looks like. You'll notice that the 141 level here, it's basically this straight blue line here. This does mark a significant area for NVIDIA. This is definitely like the sideways area that it really seems to be trading around. We also obviously have the volume point of control and the largest volume shelf here going back to the middle of the year last year. So this is clearly an important point. And this also has made a pretty decent move off the 200 to hold above the 50 and set up to go higher here. Now, again, did we actually fill this gap? I think we did. Yes, we did. So here on Tuesday, February 18th, we did end up filling this gap here. And right now, NVIDIA currently sitting right there on the 100, above the 100-day moving average by about 40 cents. So we'll see where this goes here today. Obviously, the big event is going to be when it reports earnings on Wednesday after hours. But I do expect some range trading in NVIDIA between them. Would love to hear from you folks about what you think here. Let's see. Shadowed One says, I'm a day trader, not a value investor. What Berkshire is doing has little bearing on my daily game plans. Okay, well, at least you know the bucket that you're in. I would say this just to be a more well-rounded market participant. You definitely want to don't just be a day trader. Probably want to be both, but fair point there. I wouldn't make day trades necessarily off of what Buffett was doing either. His time horizon and approach at that is going to be much longer. Big B is saying, bro, this has got to be perfect all around. Now, I think what you're doing is you're referring to NVIDIA's earnings report, and I would completely concur. This thing really has to be good or look out below. Like I said, if there's any really big surprises here, I look for not only NVIDIA to react adversely to that, but for other stocks to actually follow in sympathy. That's one of the big things that I'm looking for here. Okay. Super says, well, just going to say hi and bye. Had to go back to a real job for a bit. Trading not working too well just yet, but not giving up hope. Hope you and 13. We will have a good day along with everyone else. Don't give up on it. One of the things that I will definitely say for those of you that are trying to make trading a core tenet of your life, don't get lost on just going to trading as your main source of income. Even some of the most successful traders that I know, people that have been involved in markets for multiple decades, they always have something on the side to kind of make it easier. Back when I first started this, after like the first month, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be my job. And I tried to go too early to just trading, and I had to do the walk of shame back to doing both. So don't be discouraged by that. It's never a bad idea to have another source of income alongside. Always continue to read as best you can, prepare yourself as best you can. All you need is that one big break, and it can change things for you. We'll be here, Super, anytime you get a chance. We'll keep the seat warming for you. John says, please blow your nose. John, you want me to just stop right here? You want me to just stop, have a bunch of dead air, and go blow my nose? Chill, bro. Good morning, Brandy. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, Maverick. And good morning, Crimp Biscuit. So, NVIDIA, I'd like to know what you folks think. Are they going to trade higher? Is this going to be a really big surprise for the market? Are things going to be real great? Or are we going to show up Thursday and being like, oh my God, what's next? I'd love to hear from you folks what you think about that. Okay. That's, I think, it for the news here. We did have some earnings. We had Domino's this morning. I see we also have Tesla making some movement here this morning. Let's see what's going on here with Tesla. Let's take a look inside. Okay, so Tesla bucking the market trend earlier here, a little bit weak in the pre-market, but now spiking on volume. Let's see if there was any news here this morning that might be driving this. Nope, just a lot of the news about Musk and what he's doing with the government. That shouldn't nearly affect Tesla. Don't really see anything. Let me know if you guys saw anything out here. Maybe something's breaking on the X streets or on the Twitter streets that I'm not seeing. I don't know. Anyway, the action here in Tesla, this is encouraging. I think we might actually have something on here for Tesla. And one of the other things, let me go back to that daily chart. I clicked on the wrong one. Let's take a look and see where we're at. Okay, so holding pretty much right, but that's what I thought. So we came down and we tested that 100. We actually broke beneath it and then closed beneath it. Part of me wonders if we can recapture that here today. I've got that at 343. We'll see if we can recapture 343, but the bigger thing for Tesla, at least for the next direction here, is going to be this trend line. If we cannot break or change this trend at all, I can absolutely see Tesla coming in. I think, 250, 270? This gap right here looks pretty juicy. If we come in and test that 200-day, I think at that point, we're probably going to have the momentum to close this gap or fill this gap down here. Well, I got this at 254? I think that could actually be 250 when you talk about the body of that candle. So we'll see here on Tesla. I do like this long term. I think that once all of the market jitters kind of pass, or once we get some of these big things out of the way, like the NVIDIA print that the market seems to be hanging on, maybe if we get the March rate decision out of the way, I do expect Tesla to actually be a pretty good trade. We're very, very clearly in a downtrend here, though, so not necessarily trying to bet the farm to the long side here unless we change here on Tesla. Okay. Let's see. What else did I miss? A lot of encouraging stuff for our group here. You love to see that. You absolutely love to see that. John said made 330% off Celsius last week and need a new play. Well, there's some more stuff happening this week, John, so I'm sure we'll be able to uncover something here for you. Really good stuff last week. Spin that ahead to this week. Hans saying that Palantir is selling off. Let's take a look here at Palantir and see what that's doing. Okay. So we're actually sub 100 here on Palantir. How about that? So we came in here. Let's see. Yeah, we did a really good job holding $100 on Friday, but we didn't even wait for the market to open here before breaking back beneath that. Next level that I've got here for Palantir, let's just call it that 96 even. This is going to mark the intraday low from Thursday where we really plunged here. Let's see if we can hold that. If we do hold that and the market doesn't fall apart here, I think actually Palantir can make a move back towards balance. Not sure if it's going to do that. Down 4% here in the pre-market. But next level down here, 96. That's what I'd be watching here. 96. Let's see if it can hold that. Palantir, this should be active here today for some trades. Okay. We'd love to take a look at Hood potentially. Yes, we can absolutely do that. NVIDIA could make an earnings pop and sell off. See, now that's that. Okay, so that's Hans. That is really, really interesting. So one of the things that we've been talking about is as far as reversal is like a blow off top, some type of move higher that really kind of changes the calculus, gets everybody locked in like, hey, we're going higher. And then the market just inflicts as much pain as possible. I could see that being reflected here in an individual name like NVIDIA, right? We have a report where traders are kind of on each side, maybe hedged on each side, not really sure what to expect here. They report a really good number. They beat the consensus in multiple different areas. There's no delay for the Blackwell. Maybe we even get something positive mentioned out of Blackwell or something like that. Who knows? And then NVIDIA ends up trading up, sucks in a whole bunch of longs. Everyone feels great. And then bam, sellers come in and knock it down. Now, for that to happen, I really think that I would actually, for that to take place, I would really like to see NVIDIA recapture 141 prior to the earnings report. If it can do that, and then we can actually pop, we might even be able to set some new highs or get close there. And if we get close there, we actually might have the triple top formation here. So Hans, I'm definitely not going to write that out. And how the market actually trades the next morning is going to be extremely important. Like if NVIDIA pops and it holds its gains all the way through the after hours, and then in the pre-market, it's up again, and then all of a sudden it's a little bit shaky out of the open, that would give me some trepidation. That's absolutely something to watch for. And we can do that there on Thursday. Okay, Justin saying Tesla. I just know there was another thing on Guru Focus this AM about an update to the robo-taxi service. See, that's what I thought. It might have been some type of autonomous driving or robo-taxi update. I generally don't follow those much because I really don't think that's a huge mover. But nonetheless, I still don't get why people are showing any short-term hope for the service after so many promises that have been broken. That's kind of my thing. Like, and I mean, I guess at least for someone like me who really likes driving and wouldn't be moved by that type of thing, I guess I just don't put a whole lot of stock into it, but we'll see. We'll see where that ends up going. Tesla here, nonetheless, pretty much right back. Let's see. It closed at 337.80, and it's currently at 337.97. So red to green move here in the pre-market on Tesla, despite showing some initial weakness. And we will definitely take a look at some of those movers here. Let's see, what time do we got? We got, 15 minutes until 13 shows up, thereabouts. Let me know if there's any other big stocks that you folks want to take a look at, because I do want to go to some of those movers, but I don't necessarily want to do that here just yet. There actually isn't a lot on the movers list. Some of these are really kind of crummy. So if there are any other big stocks that you folks want to take a look at, let's knock those out of the way first. And then I'm sure we can always come back to them. We'll definitely take a look at Domino's Pizza here. Ryan, you were mentioning that SMCI was moving here this morning. Now, SMCI, so we're down just about 1% here in the pre-market. We're doing a really good job holding on to this 55 level. To me, SMCI is all about this 200-day. We actually talked quite a bit about 200-day on a lot of these different stocks. The move off the bottom here in SMCI was awesome. Really, by the way, I'm not sure if Buzz Naldo is around here yet today. Big time shout out, though. Last week, he was focused on an SMCI quite a bit. And SMCI actually had a number of really good days. And so here, what I'm looking at is, can we actually hold this 200 here today? If we can't, or not, maybe not today, but this week, if we can hold this 200, better still, if we can actually kind of trade sideways here, build above this, really not give this up and kind of tease out some of these gap fills to the downside, we can really make this RSI come into a more manageable level. We can consolidate, and that would actually prime SMCI for another move higher here. Now, we have talked about SMCI with the group here a number of times. Some of you folks like this, some of you don't. And you know, didn't they say that they were going to release that earnings report by the, what was it, either the 25th or the 28th? I'd have to actually go through that and find it here, but I'm pretty sure that that's what they were saying. Let's see. Sorry, I thought I might be able to find it really quickly from skimming. Let me go. I'll do that when I get a little bit more time. I'll go back and try and figure that out. But again, what I'd like to see here from trading action would be, can you actually hold above this 200? If you can, especially if you can trade sideways, we'll really kind of be setting ourselves up for the next move higher. And ultimately, I do think that move can measure up to 80. Now, maybe we don't print 80. Maybe it kind of finds some resistance here at 70 or 75. But I do think that a move up to this other consolidation area would be warranted if there's, nothing, no new bad news here, and the chart is able to work. I mean, look at the expanding volume that we've seen here recently. Really, really an impressive move. And if you take a look, the last time we saw something similar here, we recaptured one of those moving averages and then got straight up rejected at the 100. And it wasn't until this most recent move that we were able to clear that out. So again, I'd really, if we dive beneath this 200, I actually think you might be able to short this back down to 40, maybe even a little bit less than that. But if we hold above this 200 here, maybe we kind of gear and get ready to shoot for the next upside target. Big B's whoever trades this one, you folks let me know if you have any upside targets. Big B is saying the 25th. Okay, so we're going to know pretty soon whether or not everything's on the up and up with this company and their earnings. Good stuff. The San Jose, California-based company has until February 25th to submit all of its outstanding financial reports to bring back to compliance so it can remain listed on the NASDAQ. Boom. Boom. Okay. Oh, and then Microsoft. We actually talked a little bit about that there, John. That's a really good idea. Let's take a look here at Microsoft. If we look inside, you can see this was trading up. This looks to me like just kind of regular trading action with the rest of the market. The rest of those indices definitely gapped up right around the pre-market open. So it looks like Microsoft kind of followed suit and has sold back down here. Remember, we did give you that tweet there from Unusual Whales denoting that they have begun canceling leases for substantial amounts of data center capacity. You know, I'll say though, on the surface, that should be pretty good, right? They'd be spending less money. They should still be able to accomplish the same goals that they had for just less of a cost. To me, that actually seems like that would be a positive for the stock price, not necessarily a negative. Love to hear what you think about that as well, especially you, John. Okay. You guys want to take a look at BABA? Sure. INOD, this INOD one. Let me tell you something, Ryan. I mean, I'm happy to see this move because this was a stock that we had talked about on some of our other shows and some of our other discussion areas for a long time. I mean, when we first started talking about INOD and what kind of impact this can have and using AI and all that, the stock was like $4. And it actually gave several good trades, right? Several good trades to double digits. We were super early on it. There was no thesis that we gave where this thing was going to 70. So this huge move here, really, really awesome. I gotta say, I think that this behaves like a lot of some of the other stocks that we've had. If you're in this, if you've made money on this, awesome. I think that this is definitely not a terrible area to take gains. If you think that there's a long-term angle here where this company's services can proliferate to other big AI players, they do some of like the hate speech monitoring for stuff like Facebook and things like that. If you think that can actually proliferate to other companies, there should be more of a runway for this company. But given how extended it is and the move that we've had here, to me, I think we're in the gains taking phase. A pullback down anywhere near that 200-day moving average would be really great for another long-term load here. I don't know if this thing gets all the way back to 25. And I will say, from what we know about the management, not the greatest management company, kind of lazy, kind of don't really talk a whole lot. But obviously, the earnings is what's really driving this here. This thing's been a huge, huge mover. It's been really, really hot recently. I cannot advise chasing it here, Ryan. Cannot advise chasing it here. Yeah, I do like what they do. I do like the angle and I do like the theme that it's in. So if this comes back to any type of like tradable support area, I think that would definitely be worth looking at. Definitely be worth looking at. Ryan, you said SHAT is the next target down on SMCI. Diamond, I have no idea what you're talking about, man. No idea what you're talking about. Let's take you, day trader mentioning Uber. Oh no, you also want to take a look at BABA. Let me do that first because I've already forgot BABA one time. Let's take a look here. Chinese stocks have been ripping here. I would say this, given some of the move that we've seen in some of these Chinese stocks recently, especially like BABA, like we talked a number of times about this 120 area being a fairly significant resistance area. We actually broke through that. Didn't we back test it too? Pretty sure that we did, right? Yeah, it looks like this red candle. We actually traded back and back tested that area a little bit as well. I'll say this being down 3.5% here, not totally concerned about that at all. It's been a huge move. Frankly, a little bit of a break is probably not a bad idea. I didn't hear of any news over the weekend as it pertains to China that really kind of has me more worried. I know we've talked a lot about the Chinese economy not being that great, them really needing stimulus, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't really hear any bad news out of China over the weekend. Although that being said, wasn't necessarily paying attention or seeking it out. I'm curious to get an update today from one of our members that actually lives in Asia. We'll see. But just looking at this on the surface here, a little bit of a pullback after this tremendous move that this thing has made. Not bad. By the way, how good does David Tepper look? Adding this thing around $84, $85 right around the 200-day at the end of the year. And now here we are. We were actually above 140 at one point. So massive trade there. Really good job. Some of these Chinese stocks, one of the things that it's also worth noting, some of these, when you compare them to some of like the multiples that the American stocks are seeing, these actually look pretty attractive. BABA here, even after this huge move, forward PE of 14, almost 15. You know, even stocks like Nvidia, which is part of the semiconductor industry that traditionally traded at low multiples, sometimes single-digit multiples, Nvidia here still has a forward PE of 31.5. So BABA on a PE basis, even cheaper than Nvidia. Like I said, the pullback here today, the little bit of a pullback that we're seeing, I actually don't even think that that's all that bad. We'll see. Maybe, I mean, maybe this holds 135, 134. I don't know. It's been on a huge run recently. So unless there's some really terrible news or really kind of a freakish sell-off, not really concerned. By the way, this morning, Morgan Stanley upgrading Alibaba Holdings to overweight, raising the price target to 180. So Morgan Stanley saying that not only is the move justified, but you actually have some more meat on the bone there. Interesting. Alibaba bets $52 billion on AI and cloud. Alibaba announces major investment in AI. So this is we're getting a couple of different catalysts back and forth, right? Microsoft cutting their spending, Alibaba investing $52 billion. We also had more news from Apple here this morning. I didn't have any article on that, but we might as well cover that too. Big news here. Apple commits $500 billion in U.S. investment for an AI push, boosts U.S. manufacturing. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I guess all of that tariff talk and moving things back to the U.S., I guess that's having an effect here. We're currently seeing that here out of Apple. How's Apple doing here in the pre-market? Down just about 0.5%. You can see they actually really sold off earlier today, pretty much bought back off those lows. So this will be another one here to watch today. One of the things that I'm especially going to be watching on some of these big cap techs like Apple and Nvidia, what does the option flow look like here today? For Apple, it might be a little bit different because people might be short-term trading this based on the news that we got here today. But what does some of the option flow look like on some of these tech names leading into those earnings? Okay, real quick here. Sorry, I just want to cover up or go over what you guys were saying here in the chat. China is investable again. I'm nibbling. Neville, you're not the only one that thinks that. I mean, again, there's been a number of prominent U.S. investors that are doing the same thing. We just highlighted Tepper here. If you can't beat him, join him. Do you think PDD may follow suit to BABA? Tough to say. I mean, PDD has actually been one of the better trades for some of the Chinese names. I've actually traded this one with more success than I've traded BABA personally. We have a very similar setup here in PDD like we do to BABA. We have a move above the 200. I mean, BABA's obviously much past the 200 here, but PDD, maybe this can kind of really get going here. The one thing that jumps off the chart for me here is going to be this trend line. You were just talking about, let's see, may follow suit. This kind of already has followed suit, right? It's really had a nice recent move. Can this go anymore? Can this put in some new highs? This trend line going to be pretty important. I still think we have some distance until we get there. PDD, another one that responds to options. So if watching option flow is your thing, watching option flow on PDD might be a good thing to look at. Okay, there was news on BABA that the price, was the Morgan Stanley raise that we just talked about. BABA's a solid company. Indeed it is. Here's the Apple article fresh off the press. Way to go, producer. Way to go. Ryan cost me a couple grand on Friday. Ryan cost me a couple grand on Friday. Do not listen to him or his advice ever. No wonder he's doing shitty recently. Okay, Miko. Then you know what? That's totally on you, because if you think that I am consistently trading crappy recently, why aren't you fading me? That would be my question. Why aren't you fading me? Why don't you try that? Start and see how that goes. Okay. And I don't give advice. Steve's right. I don't give advice. You are responsible for your own trades. Sorry if you had a rough week last week. You wouldn't be alone. Okay, let's see. What else do you want to take a look at here? Or should we actually start with some of those movers? What time is it? 7:45? I guess we can move over there. Were there any other big stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at before we do that? Actually, before we do that, we should take a look here at Tesla, because Tesla is ramping and going to the highs here in the pre-market. All right, nice little red to green move here on Tesla. We did, let's see, 350, 353. See if we can get back there. We'll see if we can get back there on Tesla. Another one, definitely, to watch some of the option flow. Cell H, yes, absolutely. Let's take a look here at Celsius. Okay, so we had the huge move here on Celsius, and we did a pretty good job on Friday holding that move higher. Now, again, especially right now, one of the things you want to watch is going to be that low from Friday. I actually would say that 31 is probably a level to watch prior to that actual low. That came right out of the open. It's right around 30. So 30 to 31 should be the support area here for Celsius. This is actually making a pretty awesome curling formation here on the daily, and I'd love for this to recapture the 200-day. I do think that, at least with some of the move that we've had here, maybe we actually make a move towards that 200-day before reversing. We do have an RSI that's a little bit above the overbought territory, so I understand this pulling back, but I wouldn't be shocked if this overshot that area. It's done this in the past. When in the here, so one of the other times this thing really traded up quickly and went to overbought territory. It actually stayed overbought for several sessions and went, what looks like what, almost 20 points higher. I easily think we could test the 200-day here on Cell H. I've got that value at 41.35. Current price here on Celsius is 32. So nice 9-point move. Yeah, we could absolutely do that. We could absolutely do that. Okay. What else do you want to take a look at? That is Cell H. Dell. Let's take a look at Dell. And by the way, I know we didn't really cover some of the news that we got on Dell recently. It was like not last Friday, but I think the week before we got a piece of news on that. Let's see if I can find that here. Let's see. Thursday or the Friday of last week was going to be the 21st. That week before was the 14th. Yeah, here we go. So we're talking a lot about some of these different AI companies and how they play in. We actually got a news. This was middle of the day. Shout out to Charlie from Benzinga Pro Squawk, by the way. That's how I got alerted to this, was actually able to trade this. Dell, I believe, went from like 110 to 116 in a matter of a couple of minutes. It was a great little day trade there. But the piece of news was Dell nears $500 billion server deal with Musk's XAI. So I guess the follow-up question that I would have here for Dell, do you think that this is going to be a major player in AI? Because if you do, I think that we probably are going to look for Dell a lot higher than where we're at right now. Now, I will say, with earnings coming up here in 3 days, let's be careful. Let's maybe not position ourselves too large before those earnings. Maybe let's see what those earnings show us. But if you take a look at where we sit here, we sit pretty much right in no man's land. I guess right kind of like in the middle here. We're right beneath the volume point of control, right on the biggest volume shelf that we've made since going back to the fall of last year. We're actually right beneath the 200-day, and we've really kind of traded up off the lows, and recently, we've actually made slightly higher lows on this chart. That's also encouraging. To my eye here, it sure looks like, especially if we get a good report, this thing could probably go a lot higher. I wouldn't be shocked if this did take out the 200-day, and if it took out the 200-day on volume, especially with a good binary event like earnings, with that catalyst out of the way, this could really have the juice to go higher here. One other trend that we should take in mind to see if we can break, we'll actually have a nice little triangle formation shaping up here. Boom. Here you go. Let's take a look at Dell and see which end of the triangle, which end of the wedge we break out of, either up or down, and we can trade it from there. To my eye here, I think Dell probably goes higher. Okay. Let's see. What else did you guys mention here real quick? Cell H, we got that. ATCH, that's on the earnings. We're going to do that. No problem. Charlie got a hot mic. Yes, he does. Let me tell you something. Charlie is, I think that if you had to ask me which feature in the Benzinga ecosystem has been the most beneficial for your P&L, I would have to say that that's probably Charlie, even more so than the news feed, because Charlie's calls or Charlie's news drops are so actionable that even if I disagree or I'm unfamiliar with the company itself, you can still make trades off of that. Okay. Snow. Charlie just broadcasted a phone call. Hey, mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. Uber selling Nike upgrades. Interesting. Hims. Yeah, actually, we should definitely take a look at Hims. Okay. Let's take a look here. Wanted to do Nike first because you said that there was an upgrade. Nike here, this just to me, at least for the next trade here, this is all going to be about the 200-day. We did a really good job trading Nike off this 70 low. We since broke that and recaptured it. The next telling spot here for a trade for Nike. This is one I don't really like to day trade. I would much prefer to swing trade Nike. The next possible swing trade here for Nike is going to be what happens at the 200-day. Do we get rejected at that 200-day? Do we close above that 200-day? Do we get a swing long or a swing short here? That's kind of what I'm waiting on. Nike 78.5 up 2.73% here today. That 200-day here is at 80.40. So, well, that's not that far away. You said that this got an upgrade here this morning. Jeffries upgrading Nike to buy, raising the price target to 115. See if there was any other context in there. That price target came from 75, so that's actually a pretty healthy price target raise on the back of the upgrade as well. Okay. Well, that should carry it here today. I'll say this. I think Nike risk on here today, especially if the market doesn't fall apart. Let me take a look around here real quick at some of the charts. Doesn't look like it's doing that. Apple pretty much all the way back to where it was. VIX, by the way, printed 19 on Friday at the worst of the sell-off, down here to 17.5. We'll see if that gets back to a 15 handle. That would be something that I'm kind of looking at. But Nike here, pretty good upgrade. Again, a lot here is going to be about the 200-day. Okay, Tyson ready to blast off. I'll be honest. You know what, Tyson? The chart looks great here, right? We really kind of closed beneath, recaptured the 500, and then traded away from it. Most recently, we've recaptured the 200-day. This chart does look appealing to me, but I'll be honest, I don't have as much insight into Tyson as I used to. I would imagine that if the consumer continues to tighten, that would benefit Tyson. And I think that you would probably have people move into some of Tyson's chicken as well as their prepackaged foods. Both should be good for the company's bottom line. If we take a look at where the chart is here, especially right above the 200-day, we're actually right above the volume shelf and the volume point of control. So unless we get any really type of bad news, I think maybe we probably have some more upside here on Tyson. I would say without knowing what the next big catalyst is here, I would say it's tough to really kind of see this above 65 in the near term. That would be my take here on Tyson. But like I said, I used to have a lot of really decent insight into that company, and I have less now. So I will formulate that or put that into my plan. Okay, Uber was the other one that you folks wanted to take a look at. Izzy's here, so there's no surprise that Uber would be on that list, right? Oh, Izzy's not here. Did I mistake that for somebody else? Anyway, we'll get back to that. Uber here. This has been awesome recently. What a huge move higher here on Uber. Little bit weak in the pre-market here, down about 1.5%. Not crazy considering what we just saw on the huge move here. Let's see, I didn't really see any new news here on Uber. Tell you what, if the market holds up today, we'll have to ask Izzy when he shows up. When the market holds up here today, maybe Uber is one of those stacks where we can kind of buy the dip for a potential day trade. Something to keep in mind. I'll keep my eye on Uber here today, especially around the open. In fact, let me add that here to my notes list real quick. Boop. And we'll take a look here at Uber. Uber, I'm here. Hold to 90 if you buy dips. There you go. Okay, so you still think Uber has more room to the upside here. 90, you're given that. 90 would be that. Tell you what, that'd be a really sick move here, Izzy, if we moved above some of those recent highs on Uber. Let me know. Do you think that this is a day trade here today? Sorry to put you on the spot, but I want to know. Oh, and then HIMS, you folks wanted to take a look at. Let's do that as well. Wow, what a pullback. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Big Abees here. Big Abees, your call for the long on HIMS was so good that I'm going to go back to the well here and see. What do you think? Do you think that this pullback maybe was just a little bit kind of getting some of that irrational exuberance out of the way? Does look like we're about to test the 20-day. 20-day moving average is at 45.83. Current price here at 48 and change. You think we test that 20-day? You think we bounce from that 20-day? Think we move back up to the trend line? I'll tell you what, this trend line that we added here has really, really held both to the upside and the downside. So let me know. The big area for me on HIMS here, if we can hold this 45.83, let's just call it 46, I suppose. If we can hold this 46 area, maybe you do make a move back to that trend. I don't know, man. That's 12 points, though. This one's tough. This obviously moved on the GLP-1 angle, I think, more than anything else. Though all of those stocks have been really, really good. We'll see if there's another move left here in HIMS. I will say this pullback happened fast. Hopefully, those of you that were trading this, Big B is looking at you. Hopefully, you were able to take gains on that huge move up here. And one of the better calls that we've had here this year, honestly. The one on HIMS at 42. And you have earnings tonight. Are you positioned for that earnings? So I think we're bounding up to the trend. Okay. I agree, though, if you knock it out of the park here on earnings, all of this recent weakness is going to be forgotten about because you have a really nice range, really pretty much up to 70 here. I think you could forget a lot about that if we have a really good earnings. Okay. All right. Let's bring on 13 and see how he's doing. 13, how you doing, my man?
Oh, hey, everybody. How's it going? I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Had a great weekend. Ready to go here today. I know we've got a big week here with NVIDIA. We have some chirpers out here early. I am all about it and ready to roll.
We have more than just NVIDIA earnings. There's a week full of other company earnings. We have PCE, other economic reports. It's going to be fully loaded. And then we go into another next week is going to be even crazier because that's when we have to revisit the whole tariff situation with Mexico and Canada. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so shout out to you. You 13 is so prepared today that on Monday morning, he's already looking ahead to next week. That's the type of energy that I actually really love to see out of you, 13, and that I expect. Amazing. One thing here, I did share an article regarding the kind of the market breakdown here today, has a lot of Fed speakers. So in addition to what you were just mentioning in terms of some of the economic events, there's also going to be a ton of Fed talking heads on the horn. You had mentioned earnings there. We had Domino's this morning, Berkshire. We talked about HIMS tonight. Riot is going to report. TEM, Tempest AI, the huge recent AI stock that moved up with the Pelosi push and all that, they report earnings. Zoom reports earnings. I mean, Kava reports earnings. You talk about an overpriced Mediterranean restaurant. I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot here.
And Lunar is also going back to the moon. They're launching this week aboard a.
That's right, and we don't want that to tip over. That's right.
Yep, they'll make contact with the surface of the moon in early March. I think it was the 6th or the 7th when they expect to arrive and touch down there. But it launches this week, and we also have the next Starship launch for SpaceX this week as well, or potentially this week. The earliest they can launch is going to be February 26th, according to the NOTMARS and NOTAMs notifications they put out for all the aircraft and marine craft that travels within the area of where they're going to be sending that flight through.
Okay, amazing. November Rain, love the handle November Rain. Why always mentioning this Izzy person? Who is he or she? Must be special to hear it 50 times a day. Well, first of all, I'm going to take the end part of what you said first. Every one of you is special that shows up here, and Izzy likes to participate a lot. likes to shout out a lot of different trading ideas, so I like to highlight it. The first part of your question, why can't you see it? We always broadcast on YouTube, Twitch, and X. So if you're only in one of those, you might only see one chat feed. I'm, of course, looking at a consolidated chat feed, so I'm able to shout out all of those comments. Sorry if that was confusing. Good question. But Izzy makes some pretty awesome calls. And we also try to put some of these on the screen, much like the producer is doing here. Okay, 13, enough rambling for me. We've got 30 minutes until the market opens. You want to do some of the movers here? Was there anything special that you wanted to do?
No, let's get through the movers, and then we can start talking about some of the other things that are going on with the market. But movers first. Let's get those out of the way.
Okay.
First one I got is STEC, STEC.
Okay, so yes, this is the first. This is the one that's on the top of my list here. I'll be honest, I can't wait to hear what you say about this one. I'll say I'm a little skeptical of this one, so I'm basically just going to set the stage here for you, and then I'm going to have you dive in really quick. John says, "My mom says I'm special too."
All right,
you're not alone there. Lion says, "Am I special, Ryan?" LOL. Yes, yeah. You all are, and I mean that in the good way. If you're choosing to come here, yes. Absolutely. Okay, really quickly, back down to brass tacks here. STEC, STEC. This is Santec Holdings. Stock is up 290% here in the pre-market. Okay, it's up $1.87, and the current price is $2.53. So this thing came from Pennyland. Quick look around the horn here. Short interest, 10.3% of the float shorted. Days to cover, 9.29. So definitely has some type of squeezy action in there. The reason that they days to cover is so high is because on average, the stock trades less than 300,000 shares. Today, it's traded 71 million, flow to 3.2 million. 13, what do we got here, boss?
Well, this is going to be one of several, NASDAQ recompliance stocks that we're going to be looking at today. This one was recently granted an extension to remain on the NASDAQ and continue trading until they file their annual report. So basically, they're in the same situation right now as SMCI. They have until May 14th to make that filing, or they will be delisted. They have 4.32 million shares in the float. This is a company out of Hong Kong. One of the more recent, well, not more recently, but it's happened recently, was they appointed a new auditor shortly before this news of recompliance started circulating. So looking like they have some problems with their books. NASDAQ doesn't really like it, but if they can file that within the next few months by the 14th of May, maybe they remain on the market. So this is just right into the theme of the NASDAQ recompliance thing that we talked about, all last year. Getting extensions, recompliance, and things like that really does move these low float names, and that's what we're seeing here with STEC. So that's really what it's moving on. NASDAQ recompliance, May 14th. If you want to keep an eye on this one for that, there's your date.
And I'll tell you what, the NASDAQ recompliance theme, this is actually made for some pretty good day trades for us. So I don't necessarily want to shake a stick at it too early here. I will say I do want to be careful with this one just being so extended here. I'm just a little, I'm a little concerned. I definitely don't want to start as some of the peanut gallery has mentioned earlier here today. I've really struggled the last couple of weeks. The last thing I really want to do is put myself behind the 8 ball early on a Monday. I'll wait this out until something feels a little bit better.
Yeah, that's going to be my approach to this one. We're trading beneath VWAP right now, or at least my VWAP. There's going to be support that I see kicking in early as 230. So if we start losing that, then this may need to fall further before we start trying to trade this back up to the upside. But right now, the pattern in the pre-market here does look a little bearish. So I would wait this one out and see if that level holds up or not.
Okay, really good stuff here, 13. You're starting Monday off with a bang. No doubt. Okay, next on the list here is going to be ticker YYAI. YYAI. It's got AI in the name, so this has to be up multiple hundreds of percent, and here we are. Connexa Sports Technologies. I don't think I've ever even pulled this ticker up, let alone trade it. We have?
We have. Remember when YYAI? Remember that whole thing? We did that one day?
Yeah, maybe. But there were, you know what? Yeah, I do remember that. And you know what? There were so many AI stocks moving. That's probably why
you kind of got to give them their own little things so you remember, because you're right. There are way too many AI stocks that have AI in the name.
We've got our first pro tip of the morning here, folks, courtesy of 13. When there's a lot of similar stocks moving, Might be beneficial to assign them nicknames. I like that. We'll try and do that.
Give them little personalities too.
We'll give them a little personality. Love it. Okay. Anyway, Conexa Sports Technology shares are trading higher after the company announced it signed a multi-channel network deal to create content for TikTok in the MENA region. I'm actually not familiar with what the MENA region is. Hopefully you are. Stock is absolutely ramping here, 200+%. Quick look around the horn. Short interest, 4.32% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. 14 million shares in the float, so a little bit at the higher end of the range, but make no mistake about it, folks. This is under 20 million shares in the float. This is still a low float stock. On average, the stock trades just shy of 1 million shares, but today we've traded 60 million. So what do you got here on this? Do you like this piece of news? You think you got a trade coming up here? What do you got on YYAA?
I think when it comes to these that we're looking at this morning, because they're, in my opinion, they're all junk, we're just going to try and trade their movement if they have setups, and then we're probably not going to look at them again until they have their next catalyst. So this is going to be one such one that I'm going to take that same approach with. They've recently had to go through a new CEO and CFO, and they also have a 300 million mixed shelf offering out there. So I don't think they're closed. I would be very careful with this one in particular, and it's looking like it's providing some pretty good trading up into the open here. We continue to do that into the open. I would not want to hold on to that. I would be very, very careful about touching this until I see it come back in, because I don't want to buy something when it's on a big run like this into the open. Typically, what can happen is as soon as we get the open, we'll get this brief pop, and then the sellers coming in and really take this thing down. So 14 million share float, still pretty low. The same thing that happens with these even lower floats can also happen with this one, especially if they have a mixed shelf offering out there. So be careful with this one and wait for some setups. For me, if I look here at my broker, I would want to see this actually come back closer to VWAP before I get excited about it, because it's really starting to get extended away from it.
I've got VWAP at 140. What does your broker have for that?
That has right there at 139.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that. I do think we might find some support here at 160. We've already bounced off that once here in the pre-market, and it did bounce with, again, with some expanding volume sticks there, at least on the 1 minute chart. Let's see what it looks like on the 5. Okay, so on the 5, when you look at the 5 minute chart, maybe it's a little bit less. We'll see there. 160, 140 definitely seems to be some of those levels. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, 155 could be an early support level, but I still would treat this very cautiously.
Okay. Steve is asking, are those considered pump and dumps? So yeah, Steve, I mean, they could be. Again, I like if we're talking about a company that, I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So I don't want to pretend like I'm some sort of authority figure. But yeah, when we see some of these pieces of news that are like the recompliance one, stocks up 300%. Yeah, that does kind of feel like that. And we've also highlighted that some of these companies that, are in shady places, or we're kind of skeptical about the legitimacy of that. Yeah, they can definitely be some pump and dumps. And we try to keep you as prepared as possible for that. My thought is, if you see a stock that is on the movers list that is going completely crazy, the best thing that you could possibly do is be as prepared as possible. Either you should avoid that because it's an obvious pump and dump and you're not going to make money on it, or you can identify something in the trading pattern where you're like, I can take advantage of this. And our group here does that all the time on even some of these junkier stocks. So I want to give you as much information as possible. I certainly don't want to make the call for you. If pump and dumps are something that you want to stay away from, I am not going to fight you on that. I often do that myself. So no problem there.
Let me ask you something on this. If you are able to visit the company homepage on the website, what do you get?
For YYAI here, let's try it together. Let's go to, thank you, Benzinga Pro, by the way, by giving me a link right to the company homepage. This is what I get.
That's what I get too. So I think that may tell you a little bit about what you need to know with this company.
I'm so glad that you told me to do this. that is a really awesome, kind of a timely thing here. Just be careful, folks.
Be careful. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, good stuff. 13. I like that. Steve saying timing is everything. Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
And Big Bees here was saying, I stay away from junk. Look, that's totally fine. Like one of the guys in Happy Hour has been a market participant for, I think he's going on 50 years coming up here, like literally 50 years of every day interacting with the market. And he totally gets it. Like some of these stocks are really crappy. I'm not trying to disparage anything, but some of these stocks are really, really crappy. But if you think there's an angle there where you can put profit on the board, who am I to tell you not to do that? I will try and keep you as protected as possible. I will try and give you as much information as possible so that the decisions you're making are as well informed as possible. That's the whole goal here. Next, let's talk about RETO. Okay. Let's go back to Jay Rice here saying Rito. Rito is a pump and dump, for example. So this stock up 161% here. This is actually up on Friday. What's going on with Rito here?
Nothing. No news.
Nothing.
So based the listing.
Yep. So this had delisting stuff from February 4th. That's basically what's going on here. Let's do a quick look around the horn. Short interest, 1.89% of the float shorted. And this is 3.75 million shares in the float. What do you got on this, 13?
No news. Faces delisting. Everything you said. There's not a whole lot that we can pull from this. I mean, you could deep dive into this if you want, but I think the important takeaway here is that this, like some of the other ones we were just looking at, are all kind of in that same wheelhouse. They're trying to prevent delisting. They're trying to stay relevant, and they're all China stocks. And China stocks they're getting a lot of attention right now. I know that earlier you were talking about China being investable again. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're tradable, but I don't think they're investable.
So just to be clear, I was actually reading a comment from the chat, and I said that, but I got you.
Yeah. So, and I'll expand on that just a little bit. So, the thing about China is that everything that made them uninvestable in the first place is still there. The CCP is still running the show. They still are taking a big position in every major company, including Baba and Baidu and all these different names. So you don't want government that into these public companies. So that's why I think that it's still very, very risky to invest for the long term into China names. I think that they're tradable because their multiples are super low and they're very attractive, and that's why you saw a lot of investors jump into them and do some swings, or maybe they're month long or quarter long swings, but they're into these things because the multiples are so low and they're so hated and beaten up right now that they're attractive. I don't think they're worth holding on to for the long term. I think these are just trades. I think that there needs to be some further changes in the country before I would consider them investable again.
Yeah. Okay. Real good stuff there. Jay here saying all off the MLGO probably. And actually, this was another, Jay, shout out to you. I agree with you. This is something else that we kind of discussed last week here. MLGO kind of lit some of these smaller China names, and we're seeing that here. We can actually take a look at MLGO if you want. One more question. World for Everyone here says, Ryan, why don't we see these stocks till they're already up 200%? Why don't we catch them when they're still in the lower part? Well, first of all, what we're doing right now is we're going over the stocks that are moving, right? We're going over the stocks that are going to be gappers because these are going to be in play here. Some of these have been trading up from the open. So we're trying to review a list here. I'm not sure if you're new around here. What we'll do is when we get news and something starts moving, we will absolutely call that out early on here. But the task that we're doing right now are reviewing the stocks that are about to gap. And as you were mentioning, some of these are up 200%. If you don't want to trade those, I think that's probably a smart move. Wait for something that's maybe not as extended here, but this is what we do every single day. We are checking out the stocks that are different, that are moving, and checking out the different news that are moving some of those things. Yeah, and
these. Well, I was reading some comments, but these China names, China's not the biggest economy. First of all, they're the second largest, and they are not our largest trading partner. As far as individual countries go, yes, they are, but the European Union is actually larger trading partner for us. But these names, I would just be very, very careful for. And when it comes to these smaller ones that you're wondering when are they going to run, you have to sometimes buy a basket of these, and and sometimes some of them will run, sometimes a lot of them will not. But to be able to try and peg exactly when some of these movers that are moving on no news are going to happen, it's really a toss up, and that's why you kind of have to hold a basket of these for a while.
And sometimes that doesn't really fit into your trading plan, right? I'm not the biggest fan of holding a whole bunch of junky stocks in the hopes that one morning I wake up and they're trading up. I like to have something else behind it, another data point behind it. Maybe there's a story that I'm waiting for. Maybe there's a piece of news that I'm waiting for. Maybe there's company maturity that I'm waiting for. I try to incorporate all of that other stuff into my own trades. But again, we're going to cover every day the different stuff that's moving here.
Yep.
Every day. Okay, the next one here, this one's actually interesting. Now, I know this one's already up 80% here, but this one might be interesting. We'll see if we get a trade here on this one. This is ticker ATCH, Atlas Clear Holdings. Atlas Clear shares are trading higher. Excuse me. The company reported Q2 financial results. If we take a look there, reported earlier, Atlas Clear Holdings Q2 EPS of a $1.11 loss. That's down from $2.22 year over year. Sales $2.75 million. So I didn't actually poke through the year-end numbers here. This was released late in the afternoon on Friday. The press release was anyway. Nonetheless, stock is up here 78%. This was actually closer to $6 earlier today. We have lost the VWAP, but it does look like we're holding at the high from the after-hour session on Friday. A quick look around the horn here. Short interest, 7.68% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. And ultra low float. I think I'm safe saying ultra low float here. 262.9 thousand shares in the float. Do you have anything on ATCH? I know I've never traded this one before.
Yeah, I didn't cover this one, but I'm just looking at their calendar year-end numbers, and one of the things that they mentioned is that their net income was over 1.75 million. That was larger than their market cap before this run that they had. So that could be one of the things that's pushing it up. I don't know that for a fact. But this very, very low float stock could have some potential moves that take this up much higher than it's worth. We're kind of already there. I don't know how high this goes, but I could start marking off levels before the opening bell if we want to pay attention to this one and trade it today. So just give me a moment, and I'll provide those levels that I see.
Okay. Sweet. I want to take a quick look here. Real quick. Like I said, this current level that we're at here, about 420, that's pretty interesting. I do have the VWAP here at 496, up a little bit closer to 5. So we'll see if we get that here. And while you're figuring out the rest of those levels, let me very quickly go to MLGO, since we were already kind of talking about that here as a group. We were throwing around the term pump and dump here. This definitely feels like a pump. At least so far. We'll see where the dump ends up taking place, but this entire action here on Friday was just completely out of control, completely wild, and we are trading up here a little bit in the pre-market. I will say this could definitely get rolling like it did on Friday. I'm not saying that it will, but it could. I, for one, probably just stay away from this. I think that there's probably better stocks for us to trade here today, at least for my own risk profile.
Well, I'll tell you what, with MLGO, it hit all the levels that I had for this one, and it ended up going as high as 1171. Didn't have a level up there marked off, but we ended up trading into a rising wedge, and then we spit it all out at the end of the day, and it just sank into the close.
Let me ask you something, but sorry to interrupt here, but let me ask you something about that. Do you have any type of stats, or maybe even just an anecdotal feel for what stocks do after they reach some of your crazy numbers?
They come back in.
They come back in. Okay, that's kind of what I was wondering. If the stock reaches a whole bunch of these crazy levels that you're able to identify, do you trust it less, more, or the same once it hits some of those levels? It sounds to me like, based on your observation, you trust it less.
Yeah, the exuberance kind of really gets up there, and it starts to make less and less sense for the price to be at where it is, because the valuation doesn't make sense for how much money the company's bringing in, or several other factors. But the levels, when it comes to names like this, I'm only looking at the levels, really. And if I have levels that are getting way too far away from where they started from, then I'm like, okay, well, this thing is getting extended. The RSI is telling me this has had a huge run. And so then I look to the levels we were using for the upside. as levels to the downside now. So they would be support levels. And here, remember on Friday, the one that I had mentioned that we only ended up getting to before we had to end the show was 650.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that area provided support into the pre-market here. It's still doing that, and then the next level above that I have is going to be 825. That's where we've been topping out this morning. So,
how about that?
But above that we have 960, 955, 960. So that would be if we happen to get above 825 and start trading up again. 965 or 960 would be about where I would mark the next level off. So looking for at 650 as support and 825 as the next resistance, and we're kind of right in there. So we'll have to see what direction we start going out of the open.
Okay. Good stuff. We do have 11 minutes till we open up here. Let's see. We covered a lot of these. I don't think we covered here real quickly. I don't think we covered these two. Next here, and we'll do these two, and then I think we could probably move over to whatever else you want. WRD is back, by the way, on the movers list. Stocks that are gapping up here. Anyway, ATPC, the next one here on the list. Agape. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Agape. ATP. What's that?
Yeah, Agape.
Agape ATP shares are trading higher after the company announced it signed an ICPO with Swiss One Oil and Gas. So there you go. Stocks up 60% on the back of that news. 5.26% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and 3 million shares in the float. So pretty much right in that butter zone that we're looking for. Did you take a look at this one here at all?
Briefly.
Kind of low revenue numbers. Yep.
Briefly, the deal that they signed with Swiss One, the cash doesn't look too bad, but it looks like they're going to have to. I mean, it looks like they're going to have to raise capital at some point because they're borderline profitable, but not quite there yet. They are still losing a little bit of money, but they have enough of the cash on hand to continue with operations for a time. Yep. But I will, and unless they turn profitable, I will expect they have to do a raise at some point. Other than that. I didn't really look too much into this one. Okay.
We'll see if this one gets rolling here. Let me take a look at the daily chart, see if there's any. Not the great here. Let me actually make this a little bit easier to see here. Not the greatest performance with this stock. And boy, oh boy, it looks like every time that we pop on this, we end up giving it back.
Yeah.
So I'd be very, very careful. Just kind of going back to our pump and dump conversation. Just take a look at the performance of this stock. Not enticing. Okay, I'm going to move to one more here. Looks like this is one that Crow is already long. PEPG, PepGen. Boy, is this a peptide company? Because that would be something here. PepGen shares are trading higher after the company announced early data from its Freedom DM1 trial for myotonic dystrophy. I'm not even sure I know what that is. Real quick here, this company, PepGen, is a clinical stage biotech company advancing the next generation of a word I can't pronounce therapeutics to transform the treatment of severe neuromuscular and neurologic diseases. Okay. Company is pre-revenue, so that's something to keep in mind here. Let's take a look here at the float reading on this. I got just about 4% of the float shorted. That's pretty much nothing. 2.5 days to cover. But that's because the stock trades 300,000 shares per day. Looks like company reports an EPS of 68 cents. The consensus, 68 cents. I think this was a loss, 68 cent loss. The consensus was a 72 cent loss. So they actually did better. Cash and cash equivalents and marketplace securities were 120 million as of the end of December last year, which is anticipated to currently fund planned operations. So they're trying to tell you there that the cash looks okay. 13, you got anything on this one?
I didn't take a look at this one. Let me see what I can pull out of this. But I mean, this is probably just going to be another one that we're just going to want to watch for levels. What phase is this? Do you know?
Let's see. Maybe I just kind of glossed over that there. Initial positive results is phase one, huh?
Yeah, phase one. Okay. So that's they're still pretty early into this, and this is only initial results. This is not like the conclusion of phase one either. So I would look to their cash position at this point to see, because they're going to need more money in order to continue on with their additional trials. Losing about 20 to 25 million a quarter. That doesn't give them a whole lot. Well, maybe it does. They have 42 million in cash and 96 million in short-term investments that could be liquid enough to convert to cash. I would say they probably won't have to do any capital raises anytime soon. Maybe sometime after their phase 2 trial starts, but I don't think that they need to raise capital at this stage. It wouldn't seem like that's something they would have to do right now.
Okay. Real good stuff there. PepG, this chart looks pretty good here. Volume looks pretty good too. This is only up 60%. So we'll see if we get another 100% mover here on PepG. We'll definitely take a look at that one. Real quick, just to answer this question, Crimp Biscuit, since you asked so nicely here, do you have a recent reverse split for ATCH? Shame on me. I guess I should have covered that when I was doing my look around the horn here. Say that again.
I posted it. It's
13. Yeah. You got it. Yes, we did have one here. This was January 2nd. They did a 1 for 60.
Yep, that's it.
So there you go. Shout out to you, 13.
No problem. And ATCH, real quick, because you promised levels for that. We are currently beneath 475, and I think that's going to be an important level today. It's continuing to go lower, but it looks like it might be trying to find a bottom down around near the 65 EMA, which is just beneath $4. So if we, at the open, if we turn around and start pushing up, 475 is going to be the first level I'm going to be watching for before it gets to VWAP. After VWAP, we're going to want to pay attention to the pre-market high of 592. And then beyond that, the levels that I have to the upside are going to be 745 and 835.
Okay. Good stuff there. 13 giving you levels as usual. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. This ORIS, this Oriental Rise Holdings, this thing went crazy. I don't know how much there is to really note there, excuse me. WRD, this is one that we had talked about recently. Look at this. The 2 days of upside, followed by what? 1, 2, 3, 4 days of downside, maybe another one here. We Ride shares are trading higher after the company announced it received approval to launch its new GXR for its first fully unmanned commercial operations in Beijing. Okay.
This looks like it's going to get going again. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
This has a pretty good setup. It's been trying to push up over, into $29 twice this morning, as far as I can tell. Mm-hmm. If it breaks, let's see, if it breaks like 28.30 again, it could go on another run like that. So
okay,
just be careful with this one. It looks like it's going to try and push up into the open, and if it runs up and breaks the pre-market highs into the open, that might be a good opportunity to take gains because it could come back in pretty quick.
Okay. I'm a big proponent of if you get gains in any of these kind of movers, don't be afraid to take them. Never a bad idea. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else that we want to cover here before we open? I'm actually going to flip over to my main workspace, get the option scanner ready for the day here today. So there we go. Let's see. Halt resumes. We're looking good there. Okay.
Line mentioning FTAI going higher in the earnings.
Yes, the FTAI, I just don't necessarily know if there's anything new here. This was just kind of a massive winner. I know we were talking about this was a long from the short report. Lion, honestly, at this point, I got to think that you I got to think that you have some of those gains booked. Right. I at this point now, I would not leave the rest of that mega profitable trade on for the binary event. If you have a little bit and you want to leave a trailer there, I get it. But I wouldn't, I would at least have some of that booked.
Yeah. And I will say that I did like Bigabee's take on FTAI and how it relates to Airbuses and Boeing's backlogs. I think that was a really smart take. And it's something that I think it kind of makes FTAI still tradable. So, going to see how long it takes for those larger companies to finish their backlog. Because once it's done, then it might be a weaker bit of a time for FTAI. Oh, by the way, PEPG and let's see, Crow, well done, and Jonathan as well. That one's pushing up into beyond the pre-market highs.
I love Crow right here. PepG, money flying emoji, and then all too easy. All too easy is, of course, a great quote from Darth Vader from The Empire Strikes Back. So you will always get bonus points if you're going to quote classics like that. Lion said, I did trim half. Lion, you're ready to go. That half was a monster gain too, right? You didn't just trim half like 100. That was like several 100% on those leaps, weren't it, Lion? Really good trade nonetheless. Good luck on that binary event. Good luck.
And I don't think I need to tell anybody that's trading PEPG like Crow. I know you're doing just fine with this on when you should maybe consider taking gains, but this is the kind of move that I would be starting to sell into.
Yep, you're the open. Taking the words literally out of my brain and then putting them on the stream. I would be selling into this move going higher. Spot on, 13.
And
Robert said, missed that one on PEPG. You might get another opportunity, so don't chase. That's going to be really important.
Yep, market hasn't even opened. There will be opportunities. We got 30 seconds about here.
I'm ready. I had such a good weekend, but man, am I ready to get back at this. What do you think, folks? Do you think this pre-market move higher holds, or do you think we retest some of the Friday lows?
Well, one thing that I don't want to see happen is to get, and we're probably not going to get it if we open where we're at here, but I don't want to see the candle for this week end up being a bullish engulfing over last week's. We've had that before, and the market ended up ripping higher. I can get into that, though.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's go.
So
PEPG looks like it stalled a little bit there out of the open. We'll see.
Yep, still trying to push up higher, which is fine. It can keep doing that, but I just would be continuing to sell into the strength. ATCH, that looks like it's trying to find some support around the $4 area. So let's see if that tries to turn around. RETO, this one might start pushing up as well. Still not getting a lot of volume, but that could expand. So keep an eye on that one.
VWAP there at 116 is the big thing that I have concern about in RETO. Remember, Jay telling us earlier, thinks that this one is a pump and dump. By the way, real quick, get these poll numbers out there. Love you guys for voting in this poll. How are you trading here today? The choices were risk on, risk off, and wait and see. Wait and see, winning with 55% of the vote. Love that. Risk on 29%, risk off 15%. Appreciate all of you that participated in that poll. Looks like we've got a group of investors that are kind of waiting here. Kind of waiting and see how this shakes out.
PEPG halted to the upside out of the open.
Bang,
here.
bang, bang.
Same thing with STEC, although that movement didn't really go as far as PEPG did.
Okay, so we're going to start this off with a register ring for Crow, because you were calling that in the pre-market. This now up into a halt, just a massive move higher. Really good stuff.
YYAI, this looking even more bearish now. Still, this one's halted to the downside. There could be some support as early as somewhere between 155 and 150. But the MACD is indicating that this looks like it's going to roll over. I would wait for this to shake out some more. There might be some better support down closer to 115.
Yeah, and I got 154 here, the VWAP. We'll see if that finds any level of support for this. We shall see. ATCH looks like we're getting a move back to VWAP here. Watch that at VWAP. I'm probably going to wait out these first 15 minutes, though. This
is going to be that 475 one that we're looking at. That's the next level we want to see get taken out. And if it does, then we'll be looking at the pre-market high of 592. So we'll see what happens here with this one. It looks like this is, it might be, I don't want to say that it is done, but it looked like it's trying to shake off all the selling that happened in the pre-market and trying to curl back up. So we'll see if we end up getting that here with ATCH.
Apple power candle here out of the open. So remember, we had that piece of news earlier. This sunk us lower here. Apple investing a ton of money, $500 billion here for U.S. investment for the AI push. This now rocketing higher here on Apple. The Friday intraday highs were up here around 248.5. That level is absolutely on deck here or in play here today. Apple super strong out of the gate.
We might get a halt here in RETO. It looks like it's halted.
Okay, let me go to that. Sorry about that. I was checking in. Sell H here for those of you that are trading at this, also curling up out of the open here. CELH. Here is your RETO. Now that move above the VWAP, interesting. Halted on a move above the VWAP.
Yep.
Okay.
And our ATCH getting up to 475 and coming back in, looking for support. Around 4. Could even get some support a little bit lower at about 385. But if we start losing that level, this might be something we have to just wait to shake out some more. All right. So waiting for PEPG to unhalt. WRD just broad sorting right out of the open.
Broad sorting. There it is. There it is. Let's take a look at that.
And let's see. Look at all these that are just almost all the ones that we talked about this morning. All the movers are just all halted right now. So STEC, RETO, YYAI, PEPG, all halted. I think that leaves two.
Hey, chat. How are the pancakes? Just kidding. That's an inside joke. But also, how about our chat saying that they wanted to wait? A majority of our chat saying you know what? Let's wait out of the gate here and see what's going on. I suspect we don't have a lot of hurt people here. Oh, you know what? Oh, dude, I have the most perfect meme for the little troll that was chirping earlier. Let me load that up and at least get it ready for when it happens next.
All right. Well, it looks like Ryan had some hot sauce with his eggs this morning.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? Look, I woke up on the right side of the bed today. There was absolutely no way I was going to let someone from the internet ruin my day. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No. You'll know how serious
I'm feeling way too good. Did way too much exercising over the weekend and have way too much positive vibes flowing through me. But I do have a really awesome meme that I meant to upload last week, but it didn't really come up. And then it came up here this morning and I was unprepared for it. So I'm going to fix that.
ATCH just hit 475 again and was rejected, but not selling off. So if we continue to hold up here, this could push through that 475 area and maybe take us into 5, possibly higher. So let's see if that's what we get here. Probably going to have a lot of attention on PEPG just opened, pulled a little bit. And now it looks like it just made a slightly higher print, but it pulled a little bit. And if it holds VWAP, this could continue to push higher. Okay, this last VWAP.
So real quick, I gotta ask here, where's our buy? If we do pull back here on PEPG, where's the buy spot? 250? Do we think it even pulls back to 250? Let me know what you folks. By the way, Michael, good morning here this morning. Great to see you here. You were mentioning check. I did see that on the scanner earlier. Let's see what we got.
I kind of like 225 a little bit better, but I would just have to say, be careful with this one because if it does come back in, it could come back in pretty quickly. It's still pushing higher though.
Okay, no news here on this check pop. That's ticker CHEK. This rocketing out of the gate up 60% here. Don't see any news on that though. PEPG continues. Crow, dude, you're going to get another register ring for that amazing call here this morning.
Just waiting for ATCH to try and push through that 475 area. It's currently the big resistance area in this one.
Here we go. And I'd watch this here at VWAP. Let me actually throw this up in my broker here, see if we can get some level 2 here for you. By the way, breath started out poorly when the market opened here. Dow has actually swung positive. S&P went positive briefly, but turned back red. ATCH looking like it's trying to find a little bit of resistance right here at the VWAP. And also, I've got 584 in the broker and 585 here in TradingView. So those VWAPs are dead on.
All right. Just waiting to see if we get this move in ATCH. Got a trailing stop on, so no losing there on that trade. PEPG still has not pulled back yet. This thing is getting to be pretty extended. RSI on the 5-minute is over 94.
Real quick on ATCH, they had a refresh seller there at 480. They took all of the stock initially, refreshed it, and then bang, now we took it on the second attempt. Watch that 480 level if it comes back in. Remember, I've got VWAP here, 484, 485. So, and there's the pull off that. So some resistance here at the VWAP. Let's see if it's stronger on the second pass through.
Yep.
Really good stuff there out of the open. Okay, be right back. 1 sec. I'm going to make this quick. BRB.
Sounds good. So just waiting for YYAI to unhalt as well as RETO and STEC. Wow, what a pull in ATCH. So that 475 area really putting in the work as resistance. Now we want to see the support kick in if we're going to continue trading this. That is exactly why I had my trailing stop on. 65 EMA on the 5-minute has been providing some pretty good support this morning. So we'll be looking at that to provide support here again as well. And if we lose that area, then I would say it's going to be under 375 that I see the next good support. But we also have the 200 EMA on the 5-minute that could kick in as well at 315. Now, WRD had a nasty pull out of the gate as well, and now that is rebounding after hitting the demand zone down here from all the after hours and pre-market consolidation. So we'll see if it can start recapturing some of those levels. Izzy mentioning Fubo. Take a look at that, see how that's moving. Okay, so this 2 green candles out of the open here with Fubo. Looks like it dropped initially and then just decided, now let's rock it. And that's up to 415 now.
Ooh, did we have news on this?
I don't know.
Nope.
I'm just taking a look at it, but
no news. Earnings in 4 days here, Friday before the market.
Okay, so the pre-market high from Friday was 423. We're headed right for that area, so that'll be an area of resistance to watch for. And if it breaks through that, then I would say, well, we have 427, which was the high from the 18th. So a couple of resistance areas on the way up into this through this 4 handle to watch for. And
ripping here.
ATCH right down to the 65 EMA and got picked back up. So still kind of sideways here with ATCH. No breaks over 475, no breakdowns beneath the 65 EMA yet.
And I do think that, maybe if this does pull back to 4, that actually might be a viable spot. Could have a really tight stop with that 65 EMA on the 5, pretty much right beneath it, kind of supporting that. And again, that VWAP clearly has provided the upside boundary so far. We'll see if we have enough strength to take that here. Really quick, Apple pulled off those highs. Tesla off some of the highs. And Goldman Sachs, which really got smoked last week on Friday. You can see here, really kind of weak on Friday, actually coming back a little bit. So not terrible here on Goldman Sachs. ATCH, this is curling back up. Let's see if we have enough strength to go through the VWAP here.
I feel like this is going to have to be the one where it has to break and close above that 475 on the 5-minute candle. Otherwise, if we put another wick in on the top, that's going to indicate to me that this may end up going lower. So this current candle, this 5-minute candle is going to be important for direction.
Okay. With you on that one here. Actually, it just struggled there. As soon as it got to 450, kind of oscillated there. I wonder if this can hold 450 here.
Here we go.
Oh, there you go. There's your pop. Damn, I got left there.
All right, I'm taking gains here just in case it pulls.
Nice job. Right at the VWAP, by the way. I'll watch that. I got 490 as your day high here, and looking at the level 2 here, definitely ran into some selling. I'll tell you what, that was an amazing sale there. I got left open at 450, trying to buy that on the way up there.
Yep.
Nice job on that.
It could still push into 5.
Here you go. Here's your test right here. Watch 490 right here. It's doing its best to hold VWAP.
Wiss is saying that Fubo is a long-term hold. Okay, here we go. Looking for 5.
There we go. Right through 490. Now above 5. Excellent stuff right there. Excellent. Here comes the pullback. See, so you're seeing that some of this quick moves back in. This is why we're saying that it's not ever a bad idea to sell into this strength. Look at that pullback to 470, right back to above 5. Unreal.
But if we are closing above 475 on this candle, this could indicate that this has a good chance of going higher. So let's see how this closes. We have about 2.5 minutes left in this candle.
Okay, now if this holds here, 13, where's our buy spot? Are we adding at VWAP? Are we waiting for it to hold VWAP and confirm? Bang! I tell you what, didn't even have to answer that. We just went higher right here. 424 was the high move off that print.
And it's going to be 592 is the next upside target here.
Okay.
That's the pre-market high.
I don't feel good about chasing this one here. I'm going to wait this one out before we try this again. Really good stuff on that first move.
Yep, I think that's smart. Don't chase this. YYAI is open now.
YYAI, I don't have a trade plan for that one.
And PEPG just hit the doorstep of 4, hasn't broken through it yet, but we are starting to get some upper shadows here that could indicate that it's a little bit stretched. We'll see if with these next couple 5-minute candles, so maybe in the next maybe 6 or 7 minutes, we'll know if this is going to go higher or not.
That YYAI kind of faking a breakout there. This kind of rolling over again.
I mean, you look at it's halted again to the downside. If you look at a 5-minute chart, you can kind of see that it seems like it's putting in a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. I don't feel great about this one. I think this may end up coming down to a 65 EMA before it gets better support. So yeah, you're on the 1 minute. If you look at the 5-minute, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. How it looks like a pretty bearish pattern. Yeah,
sure does. This actually looks like this wants to roll over here.
Yeah. RETO open and lower now. It's lost $1.
Nike pushed higher right to that 80 spot. Ooh, so that upgrade for Nike really kind of carrying it. This going higher here. That was a Morgan Stanley, and their price target there was 115. Nike plus 5% here. Good move out of the open. NKE.
PEPG into the 4s now.
God, we tell you what, we might spend all day waiting for a pullback here on PEPG. This thing has been a ripper right out of the gate. And actually, ATCH, this showing a little bit of resistance right up here, 540. This candle feels a little bit heavier. Would be curious to see if this can hold 5 or a VWAP on the way back down. That actually might give it another buyable spot there. ATCH.
With ATCH, if this, so we're about to close this candle, and if we start coming back down, we're going to want to see that 475 area hold. That's going to be important, and if it does, I think that would be a good time for maybe a consideration on a trade up to the 592 pre-market high. So let's see if we get that back test. You're going to get a lot of support down at 475, and if it crashes right through it, wow, right down to that VWAP in 475. So
yep.
This would be the bounce spot. Now, I treat this a little bit carefully. Make sure you have your stops with this one because
try some for a reclaim here.
Yeah.
There, oh my God, go to 5. Go to 5.
Funny how it all works out, right?
It's unreal how fast some of that stuff happens.
Yeah. So this is. Make sure you got your stops out. Make sure you're raising them as it rebounds. Don't let yourself get hit on this trade. But that's exactly what we wanted to see.
Bang. All right.
Exactly.
Got it on the second go around there. 1 for 1 here today. We got lunch money here. Let's go. Mike, really quickly. First of all, 13, great call, by the way. I was able to follow your calls along with there on ATCH. Well done. Mike, here, you had mentioned real quickly, short Palantir. Mike, give me the trade outline here. So you think we fill the gap here on the daily? What's your downside target on your short? And just to be clear, are you initiating a new short here, or is this one that you had left over from last week? Let me know, because I'm intrigued on that. And I think if Palantir continues to be weak here, I wouldn't be shocked if we actually fill this gap to the downside. There actually might be some more room to trade there.
Be careful with
PEPG.
This one got to 448 and then pulled down to beneath VWAP. It's trying to recover, but we still have about 3 minutes, 20 seconds left in this candle. ATCH, that was a good one.
Dude.
What's up?
Look, I just increased my account by 37%. Dude,
Awesome.
Robert, way to go, dude. YYAI and PEPG. I'm done. Thanks, guys. I'll tell you what, Robert, I hope that you're getting some good spring weather like we are here. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's the hell of a way to start a week, buddy.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. And he's done, folks. He's finished. He's not going to lose any more today. If he even did at all. I think this is great. When you hit your target and you've got what you wanted, it's great not to be greedy. And he's not. And he's just saying, I'm done for the day. Thank you very much, Mr. Market, for the 37%. And he's going to go and enjoy the rest of his day. And it's still the morning.
Dude, some of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made as a trader is on days where I've had a really good morning where I'm like, I'm going to push it. I got like DJ Khaled on my shoulder going like, and another one. And another one. And you just want to keep doing it. And then all of a sudden you run into one and you're like, Robert, really good stuff here.
And great discipline too.
By the way, PEPG going. I was going to say here, this actually looks like this is gearing for another move through 4. I'd be careful with this one. And by the way, we might not be done yet here. ATCH, watching that on another screen, stock in a second entry here. We're coming back here to VWAP. Let's see if we hold this really quickly here on this 1 minute chart. A lot of the volume has really turned into selling volume. We're not getting as clear of a picture here on the 5 minute, but it looks like we're starting to bounce here again. No position this time around. ATCH. Let's see if we can get another bounce from VWAP here. Boy, oh boy, look at these wicks beneath VWAP.
Yeah. And then remember that RATO that I mentioned earlier that lost $1? It just recaptured it into a
Wasn't
halt.
that halted?
It is halted now, yeah.
Yeah.
It,
Okay.
it
Oh, gotcha.
rebounded, recaptured VWAP and a number of other EMAs, and it's currently halted at 110. I'd expect that maybe out of the halt it pops, and then I don't know what's going to happen if it's going to keep going or if it's going to drop. But just be careful with RATO. We don't have a lot of we haven't been able to see how this trades very well so far this morning because I think this has been halted once already. YYAI, this one's
ATCH still flirting with that VWAP, by the way. You were saying YYAI. Let me go to that.
Yep.
Sorry, that
Continuing to go
the
down.
downside. Yep.
Yeah. So we identified the bearishness in this one pretty well. I think this ends up going down to probably about 115 before you start seeing some support kick in.
Okay.
ATCH looks like it's about to push into higher highs for the session.
I'll tell you what, that was trying to figure out what it was going to do here at the VWAP. If we get this volume to continue, I have no position in this, not in it, but if we get this volume to continue to push here, these highs in sight here, 540. Is that 541 or 540? It looks like a 540 to my eye here. 590 was your pre-market high. This could have some more. There it goes, right through it. Here we go.
All right. 592, looking for you.
You know, when you go to Portillo's, they always when they call the order number, they make it rhyme. You'd be really good at that. Holy smokes, big push there. Where did that stop at, by the way? 580. Okay, so here we go.
A little bit of a neutral candle can be a continuation. It's the 5-minute candle that just closed, or it could be a reversal. They're neutral that way. Still looking for 592. That's the next upside target here.
Aura Alpha saying 485. Entry watch. At this point, Aura, I'm on the exact same page as you are. I don't know if I necessarily need to try and chip away at some of these upside breaks, although I would not be shocked if this tests 6. We'll see if this comes back in here.
At the very least, raise your stops if you're not sure about it. Raise your stops.
Yep. Real quick, Jay Michael saying, I feel like we're entering the correction that we've been waiting for. Jay Michael, that is the $64,000 question, right? Like, are we going to, by the way, SPY here. Oh man, whole market. Well, we were so entrenched in some of these smaller movers. I took my eyes off the prize for a sec here. Look at the SPY. I had started telling you earlier when I was talking about how there were green arrows across the board. One of the things I had mentioned to you is, do we actually hold this or do we roll back over? Well, here we go. Right out of the open, SPY week, we're right down to the 600 level. Let's trade this against yesterday's intraday low. I think if we break here, we're probably going lower, folks.
Yeah, 50-day SMA is going to be important. The $600 level is also important. Let's not forget that. It's a psychological level, but beneath that, you have the 50-day SMA, and that's going to be an important one to watch for since it's already provided a rebound. Well, it provided a rebound once. That was on February 12th, and it tried to provide some support on Friday. Because it didn't end up trading beneath it. It actually started turning around toward the end of the day there. So 50-day SMA is going to be important after we lose 600.
Yeah, SPY, this definitely, I'll tell you what, the entire market feels weak. Qs are at the lows right now. SPY coming into that 600 literally as we speak. Here's your Qs chart. We are right at the lows. Again, trading this against Friday's lows. Watch this level here, folks. And by the way, while this is all happening, Apple's still holding higher. Your VIX reading here, 18.64. So VIX straight up out of the open here today.
I don't like the formation in WRD. That looks like a bit of a bear pennant to me. So be very careful. You need to see this one recapture 26 and hold above that. Because if it doesn't, I think this goes lower. This goes down into the 24 area.
Okay. I don't feel great about We Ride here. Ashe, Kelshay, today is done. I go fishing, LOL.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit jealous. Going fishing today sounds like an awesome activity. Enjoy that. Enjoy that. Can you please take a look at CNEY? We generally don't cover penny stocks a whole lot here. This one is moving, so maybe there's a trade here, but we'll probably stay away from some of these names.
This one's probably moving on relative volume. I can see that it had a big change in volume on Friday, and now we're seeing even more volume today.
And no news.
Yeah, no news. I think 44 cents might be the cap on this one. Don't know that for a fact, but that's just what the technicals are telling me.
Michael, or excuse me, Michael. Michael and Aura, you guys have avatars that look similar. Sometimes I mix it up. MLGO getting wrecked here, 23% to the downside. Boy, we took out the Friday low, Friday after hours low here. MLGO, I mean, you folks tell me I would stay away from this completely. This looks like this is done here. And RETO might go that same way. STEC, this has been straight down out of the open. We talked about that one. ATCH is pulling back here, but not breaking down. This actually isn't terrible. What do we think, chat? 494, possible entry for ATCH?
Is that your VWAP?
Yeah, 494 is VWAP, yes. Sideshow says, I'm killing it today. 9 of 9 scalps. There we go. ORIS has a better setup. Good morning, Smoke Tuna. I know you've been here for a while. I'm just not sure I've addressed you, but you're right. Look at this move here, ORIS. Think we get above VWAP right there? Volume stick looks pretty good. 2 pockets of expanding volume in there. Looking good, Tuna.
Now, I see that YYAI is trying to come back up. Now, when these head and shoulders patterns resolve, you're going to get a break beneath the neckline. And then what can happen is the price will back test that neckline as resistance. We could see that before this heads lower. So just keep that in mind with YYAI.
Izzy says 2 for 3. Izzy, what are you trading here today? Did Uber give you that dip and rip that we were looking for? Nah. Dip and dip more. What are you trading here today? Lunar getting asked about? You had talked about that a little bit in the opener here, 13. We'll take a look at Lunar.
I mean, the pattern, the daily chart looks bearish to me. So, you know, that it could be setting up a sell the news event. I'm just looking at this specifically from a technical standpoint. The chart is looking very, very bearish. But the launch that they're going to be having later this week and all the instruments and everything that they're going to be setting up there is actually quite interesting. So you decide if you want to hang on to that or if this is going to be a sell the news event when it launches. But the chart is looking bearish, but I do like the theme and I do like what they're sending up there to the market.
Speaking of launching, ATCH launched through that high there. I was not in this one, but this has been the stock of the day here today.
Yep, so far as
it's been the stock of the day here today for sure.
I mean, PEPG might have that title here because it's
yeah, you're right. That's another one, but still, I feel like this one really giving us some good trades here.
So with ATCH, now that we've broken over that pre-market high of 592, we're going to be leaning on that for support should this come back in. And if we continue to hold up here and use that as support, and we are looking to continue to move up some more, 745 would be the next upside target that I have for this one.
Okay, a number of you guys mentioning Palantir as we continue to sell off here on Palantir. Real quick, Tom, good to see you this morning. Good Lord, just turned on my screens a little bit late. What happened to Palantir? Palantir is still crashing. Average option saying, is there any big news today? Feel like I'm missing something with this kind of sell-off. And then someone earlier was Frank asking, good morning, is the whole quantum sector story broken? Folks, you guys are all hitting on the same thing. The Momo train seems to be coming to an end, or at least temporarily taking a pause. All of the stocks that we just named here, big Momo names to the upside. By the way, ATCH, for any of those that are still trading and stuck it out, way to go. This is going to halt here, 689.
And I think it was Line Atlas who was mentioning that Palantir could go all the way down and fill the gap to 85. I totally see that happening. You also have the 50-day SMA just above 85 at 85.23. That's what I'd be targeting. That 85 handle with that 50-day SMA. That looks like a really good spot for support.
A lot of the stuff that has really made some good moves here getting shellacked. All of those quantum names that we were talking about, those were all huge movers here. I'll be honest with you, I don't even think it matters how far away this stuff is. This stuff traded on huge momentum, and now it's coming back in a little bit. So a lot of these quantum names are going to be the same thing. Palantir is going to be on there. I guess you could throw Tesla on there too. Oh, Tesla has kind of its own thing going. That's coming in, looks to go lower here.
It's like I was saying last week. All those big movers, all those the nuclear names, the drones, the quantum, space, all those names. When the market gets weak like this, they're all going to come in. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yes, we have.
Look at OKLO. Look at SML. They're all getting hammered hard, especially with Microsoft saying that they're going to cancel some of their AI services that they lease out. And I think it was I can't remember everything that was said, but it was related to energy consumption. So I think you're gonna see a lot of those. The drone names are probably also coming down. They're all gonna get weak and come on in.
Yep.
We'll have opportunities for them later. Just let these things come in. Don't try to catch a falling knife with these.
The sell-off continues. I'm so proud of our chat here. A majority of people said that they were going to wait this out. Hopefully, we don't have a lot of people getting really hurt here today. By the way, here was your tweet from this morning regarding Microsoft about that data center capacity and that spend coming back in. As Mike said here, the sell-off continues. Yep. Boy, oh boy. And we should have been ready for this. We've been talking about stuff like this.
JJ was asking what level I had above 475 for ATCH. That'd be 835. That's what I had.
Yep.
All right. So I'm glad that we actually get a little bit of time here to take a breather because, wow, the market was just giving us so much this morning. Look at even PEPG. That just lost its VWAP. Things are getting hammered right now, folks. I don't know that we want to try to risk anything at the moment. Let's wait for the setups to happen. Let's be smart about this. You guys are already killing it this morning. Let's not turn these winning trades into losing ones.
I'll tell you something here. This PEPG, I mean, given what we're seeing with the broader market kind of being shaky here, maybe even falling apart, PEPG, possible setup if this can reclaim VWAP. What I did want to ask there real quick on ATCH, what about some levels here for a potential new trade? Some of you might still be in this, which is fine. Good luck on your trade. Be sure to pay yourself. But if we're looking for new trades on this, what do we think? Do we want a pullback to VWAP? Do we want something more than that? You folks let me know. We'll get back to that here in a sec because it is 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday, so you folks know what that is. It is time for our special guest, Matt Maley. Let's bring him on. Matt, good morning. Happy Monday. How are you doing this weekend, my man? How are you doing without football on the weekend, by the way?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a bit of a little what do you call it? It's
lull.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's that's why it's funny. I always love the Winter Olympics when they're only every 4 years, but it usually comes in right after football is over and before that kind of February, March time frame. But we're not going. And by the way, this gal Schifrin,
Michaela Schifrin,
100th World Cup race last week. This Caitlin, what's her name? Caitlin Kelly, the great basketball player.
Oh, Caitlin Clark.
I'm sorry, Caitlin Clark. She went to the University of Iowa, where my wife went, and such a great athlete. So doing such a great thing, and she deserves everything, all the acclaim she's getting. But Mrs. Chevron is how you pronounce it. She should be getting more accolades than she's getting. She is a great star, and hopefully a great mentor for just women athletes overall. I mean, she is just. I mean, I'm old enough to remember Ingemar Stenmark and how great he was. For her to overcome his records is just remarkable.
And she had a really awesome performance. I think it was on Sunday morning over in Italy with some of those trials, set a new world record. Coming back from injury, she's really getting it done. There was some good basketball on, and the golf tournament yesterday was pretty.
Yeah, it was. Good. I really enjoyed that.
Okay, so at least we got something. But Mark, or Matt and Mark, geez, for heaven's sakes, Matt, we have something else on our hands right now. Last week, we saw a huge move down in the SPY, especially on Friday. That candle looked really ugly. It pretty much came right back into the 50-day moving average. We basically closed there. This morning, we had green arrows across the board. When I woke up and sat down here, one of the first things I said is, hey, let's be careful. I know it's green right now, but we're not sure if we're going to hold on to this. I know it's early in the morning here. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but we did kind of roll over here, set some new lows. What are you seeing out there with some of the broader averages and against the backdrop of arguably one of the most important earnings reports of the entire cycle scheduled for this week?
Right. We got a couple of things going on here today. Well, first of all, let's just talk about late last week. I mean, for the first time, and again, we're not going way back, but for this year and really going back a couple of months, we had the first time last week where the market dropped 1% on an intraday basis, which it did do on Thursday by just barely. And every single time that's happened this year and the last 2 or 3 months, the markets bounced back the next day. Well, that didn't happen on Friday. And not only did that not happen on Friday, but when the market opened lower and then bounced, it rolled back over and took out its morning lows. We've had several times. Remember what two different Mondays where we walked in, the market was down huge on the opening because of tariff problems, and the market bounced in the first hour and never went back and touched those lows for the rest of the week. Well, on Friday, not only did it go lower, okay, but it bounced and then broke below those lows. So in other words, what we're seeing and the things we've been talking about with the consumer seeing some more cracks, some more serious cracks, the housing industry seeing some more problems. Those things, people are starting to get more worried about that. And
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I'm going to give it a sec because he might be right back. Sometimes that happens.
I noticed this right away. It was like I couldn't believe the futures were up. Make sure I have this right. This is a story coming out of TD Cowen, a very, very reputable firm, and they're just talking about how Microsoft, and I wrote it down to make sure I say, they've canceled leases for a substantial amount of capacity for its data centers in the U.S. And they've also doing the same thing in their. It's funny because they're moving some of their leases in Europe to the U.S. and then they're lowering those and canceling those. And basically what they're saying is that they're growing more cautious about the outlook for demand, the AI phenomenon, and which means a Microsoft oversupply there, whether it be for the chips and everything else. That's the one thing that everybody's been. We've been talking about this before. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see the broadening out of the AI thing? There's no question that Taiwan Semiconductor, NVIDIA, and these companies made huge money because they did sell those chips. It wasn't like that was people were hoping they'd sell those chips. They did sell them. But what they were also hoping for was that this would broaden out to the end users, and the end users would make all sorts of money. Well, that's not happened. That hasn't happened. Okay, and people have been waiting for it for 2 years now. Then we got Satya Nadella last week saying in an interview that he's worried that this AI thing could turn into something similar to the dot-com bubble. Mm-hmm. This is what he said in public. The dot-com bubble was a much bigger bubble and was a much more extended one. In other words, the market was much more overbought. So it's not like he was calling for a redo of 2000 to 2003. But these are the things he's talking about. Now suddenly we have a firm coming out and saying that this AI spending is going to be. The concern, and they start in the DeepSeek. We worried about that. Is the AI market going to be as profitable as we thought? And it's becoming more and more evident that it's not. That wouldn't be the end of that doesn't mean it's not going to change the world. It doesn't mean it's not going to be profitable. But the stock market has been at 22 times earnings. Was pricing in that it's going to be a lot more profitable, and we're now starting to see that it's not going to be. That's, I think, why this market's suddenly getting hit so hard. That the realization on this issue of Microsoft and what's going on there. Remember, as everybody was saying, I'm sorry, you can see I'm getting all worked up about this, but
it's good. It's important.
We made some nice money, and we made over about almost 500%. On our SQQQ calls on Friday. We're going to make more money on some more calls that we bought as well in the chat room. But the point is that I don't want to this won't happen in a straight line. The market's getting hit pretty good. Now it's down about 1%, at least on the NASDAQ. This is an issue. And just remember, I just want to go back to what happened we've talked about this before. When the NASDAQ got crushed, fell 80%, in 2000 to 2003, and at the same time the S&P dropped 50%. That was the bursting of that bubble. It was a much bigger bubble, but we only got a mild recession. Okay, so when people say "Don't worry, the economy's solid," that's fine. Okay, but the point is we don't have to have a recession, and we don't have to have a bad recession to cause the stock market to correct quite a bit. The market had a bear market in 2023. We didn't have a recession. So we have to look about the mispricing in the marketplace closer than we need to be looking at the economy. And even that, we're seeing issues with the consumer and the housing area that's starting to weaken. So a lot of things are coming together now to come forth the things we've been talking about a correction or even a deep one, before the year's over.
And Matt, what happens if NVIDIA comes out and says, hey, there's a delay in our Blackwell chip?
Yeah,
I mean, what's
or
going to
that
happen
there's,
then?
God forbid that the demand is weakening at all. I mean, either one, it's going to be a big problem. Now, like anything else, the market, if we do see this, if this is the beginning of a recession, I mean, we're only not even 3% below all-time highs, which were last Wednesday. So we don't get,
important to keep it in context. I'm with you on that.
exactly. Let's start get too worked up about it. But there are just some real cracks in the marketplace, and we'll see some surprising bounces. But my point is that the fundamental backdrop. We talk about all the technicals we've been talking about, the market being overbought, being over. Excuse me, that bullishness was too high, too many people in the market, the sentiment, not just sentiment being too bullish, but the market's being crowded, and froth in certain stocks, seeing big moves in one day. But now we're seeing the fundamental backdrop. Again, on the economic side, we're seeing it with the consumer seeing big cracks. Starting to see bigger cracks with consumer confidence way down, retail sales way down. You see what Walmart reported last week.
Bingo.
You see housing with Toll Brothers reporting bad numbers. We see existing home sales lower than expected, and you see the ITB home construction ETF rolling over. So those are two, consumer and housing are the two most important parts of the economy, right? So that's a fundamental backdrop. And now we're starting to see that, maybe this AI thing isn't going to be as profitable as people were thinking. So there's a lot of things starting to come together now that I think would provide for a healthy, a normal and healthy correction in the marketplace. It will be painful, but for those who are active traders, this is the kind of volatility that we should be able to embrace and profit.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really well said. A ton of stuff right there. And by the way, I did want to congratulate you. I've been following some of the trades that you've been making over on that side, and you are absolutely crushing it, folks. I put a link to the checkout page right here in the chat. If you want to trade along with Matt, if you're not sure what to look for, go ahead and check that out. Matt, really, really great stuff here today. Like I said, the biggest event of the week is going to be these NVIDIA earnings. We'll see where they go here. The one last thing that I wanted to ask you about was going to be Apple. We're seeing the market really kind of get shellacked here again. We just covered it ad nauseum. Apple, though, remaining pretty strong. My question to you is, do you still, with all of the AI stuff going on, do you still view Apple as a safety trade of sorts for people to hide out in?
Well, I mean, it's a stock that had underperformed for a while, and finally, at the end of last year, and it's finally starting to bounce back. I just don't see, again, Apple is still somewhat expensive. It's a great company. If you own the stock, I'm not, go ahead and hold on to it for a while, forever. I mean, I say forever, but at some point, if you look at the MAGS, MAGS, which is the ETF for the MAG 7 stocks, that's formed a descending triangle pattern, and we're testing the bottom of that line. If that thing breaks down below that line, I don't see how Apple can hold up. And so we're right there. As you can see, we're at the bottom of that, of its recent, that triangle pattern. And so, will it be a place of safety? Yes, I think it will outperform, but I think it will outperform on the way down. Again, I don't want to get too, I don't want to say, oh my gosh, the market's suddenly going to drop, into correction territory, which is 10%. And I've been talking about a deep correction, more like 15, 20%. It's not going to happen overnight. We'll see some bounces along the way. At some point this week, I wouldn't be surprised, especially if NVIDIA is negative. I guess my point is I used to know how to speak English. If that really gives us, that could be a little bit of a washout trade. There could be actually an opportunity for a near-term bounce at the very end of the week, or maybe next week. So be careful on that. Be careful about assuming that if we get negative news, it will cause the market to flush in a straight line for the next several weeks. But we are just what you said. To answer your question, I worry that Apple can be a place for safety, but you're going to be safer with some negative bets, I guess is my point. Looking at some puts and maybe or moving a little bit into cash.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the advantages that we have here as active traders. Okay, Matt, really, really great stuff on a really busy day. 13, did you have anything before we let Matt go today?
Just really curious about Matt. What would you be looking at, or what sectors would you be paying attention to should this AI bubble burst and we start to see info tech start coming down? Are there any sectors you like in particular? Any particular stocks?
I think
Yeah.
I
Oops,
don't think there was
I
anything
lost
wrong.
you there
Oh,
for a
there we go.
second.
We're good.
I'm sorry.
Oh. Sorry. So I don't know how much you cut, but I was just asking what sectors do you like, or individual names do you like? Should this AI bubble burst and tech starts to unwind? Is there something? Is there a sector you like in particular?
Well, I'm still looking at this energy sector. It was funny when we were talking about at the beginning of the year. Obviously last year it had a tough year, but you look at the XLEs trying to do better. XOP, they are still lagging behind what's going on with the energy with crude oil. Crude oil, it doesn't need to rally a lot for these energy stocks to do better. And I'm still concerned about what's going on in the Middle East. And the biggest thing though, I think, is that this whole drill baby drill, these companies are not going to do it to the extent that the president would like them to do it. And even there, it's funny because the Treasury Secretary was talking about his threes, 333, and one of those threes is to decrease the production, oil production in the U.S. by 3 million barrels a day. Now they're saying, now they're changing the goal. They're saying to oil equivalently barrels, or oil equivalent barrels, or whatever. They know they can't get to that because the companies aren't going to do it because it's not profitable for them. So I think these energy stocks are going to surprise people to the upside, and that's one area that I still like.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
How about basic materials? Do you think that's interesting too? Because I know that and energy kind of not doing so well at the start of the year, but they could turn around. So just curious about what you think about basic materials.
Yeah, I mean that's another area too. We're just gonna have to see. I mean, my concern is that with the overall market, and again, is that the overall market is expensive, and if the market comes down, most everything will go down. Don't be afraid to buy gold. And well, and of course, Bitcoin just can't get out of it. It can't get out of this range. We'll see what happens there. But I still like gold better than Bitcoin near term. And that's not to say I'm negative on Bitcoin. I'm just saying I'm kind of staying on the sidelines with Bitcoin until it can break out of this very, very tight range it's been in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Matt, really, really great stuff. We appreciate the extra time here. Folks, if you want to trade along with Matt, I'm throwing a link directly to what he offers here in the chat. Be sure to check it out. Matt, have a great
Rodrigo. He can help you too.
Hey, Rodrigo will out. He'll be there ready to help. Matt, have a great rest of your week. Hopefully you enjoy something this weekend. We'll catch up with you next week, all right?
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Take care, Matt. That is Matt Maley. Awesome that he is joining us here. Really, really good stuff here today. Folks, this is going to be, like I was saying earlier, it's going to be a crazy week. We're going to see how it pans out. Crazy week, forget about it. We got a crazy stock on our hands here, ATCH. This thing, I know, was printing highs up to that 10 handle while we were talking to Matt, came in a little bit towards 8. Looks like it's approaching some of those highs here. We'll see if it's got enough strength to get above. I was not trading it while we were talking to Matt there, but we will keep watching this. Hope you all are doing well here.
If you look at the daily chart for ATCH, you can see that when you look to the left, we are in a pretty thick consolidation area. And it looks like, I mean, if this continues to push up, I would think that maybe, let's see, 1170 could be next, followed by 1265. But this, the consolidation that we're in here worries me about how high we're going to go. A lot of sellers going to be in there, so wouldn't surprise me if we start to see this get weaker and try to go lower if we can't hold 10. And it looks like we're getting to the lower 9s right now. So just something to watch for. Keep in mind that consolidation is there and it will cause upside problems. For the stock. Okay.
Really good stuff there. Crow, I'm just absolutely. This is awesome. Money Maley. Yeah. Matt Money Maley. The alliteration, the accuracy, all of that is really good here. ACHR, by the way, or excuse me, ATCH right through the trend line I just drew here. Another high print, 1072-year high print here.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The stock has got it.
Yep.
Stock has got it.
Let's see what else. I mean, this has been a great morning. I'm glad that everybody's doing so well.
I was going to say, despite the pullback here, actually have done pretty well and haven't butchered myself. Haven't made a mess of my account yet. The day is still young. I might still have some opportunity to do that. Lion here, Lion asking, did you short Carvana? No, I did not. But I will say here, Lion, what was your short call? It was right here, wasn't it? 280 handle? I mean, I think the timing of that short on your part, this is probably one of your best downside calls since I've known you, Lion. Honest to God. Huge move here in Carvana. Let me know what some of those trades were. I know you were buying puts on them. Let me know what the strike and expiry was there. This has made a huge move down right from your call.
I'm trying to see if I can find a good level of resistance for NVNI, and it looks like 540 could be one. But if you go to a daily chart, you might be able to draw a pretty good trend line to get an idea of, yeah, there you go. Draw, yes.
That one was easy. 13, when you show me charts like this, the trends literally jump off the screen.
They do. and look at that support it's been getting. I think that purple one is your 200 EMA. That purple line?
Yes, purple line here, 200 EMA, exactly.
So that's been a pretty good area of support as well on the daily chart. But let's not worry about that right now. I think the big thing that we need to watch for is if we're going to get up to that trend line or even break through it. That's something given the momentum that we have today, could definitely at least try to test, if not break through.
By the way, have that value at about 5.25 if it does get up there. NVNI. We've actually seen this one off the relative volume scanner a number of times here too. Volume looking pretty good here. NVNI.
Yeah, so I like that 540 area. That's also potentially where that trend line is too, not too far away from it. So good spot there to watch for.
Okay.
Looks like ATCH popped up to 1072. It's pulling a little bit. I'd be careful with these, especially with ATCH. I identified that consolidation area. That's gonna keep the price from moving up in a meaningful manner. It could even push it back down. Just be careful.
Here's a 4-print coming, NVNI. And by the way, ATCH also trying to bounce right here. You had mentioned ATPC, right? Yeah, that was a gape that we had talked about. ATCH actually looks like this is trying to trade up here. Sorry, I'm looking for the ticker somewhere. I'll type it in. I can't find it. Looks like it back tested that trend line.
As it does?
Yep. Actually, that would have been pretty good entry. Shoot. I probably should have tried some of that there. By the way, off that first, because the first trade was so good, what I'll do here is if I take another one on the same name, I'll probably reduce the position size a little bit more just to ensure that I can't butcher myself here. ATCH looks like this is trying to go for the highs. Remember, 1072 was that high print here, 10.25 current price.
I gotta mention this again. Be very careful. The float in this one is 200 and like 60 something thousand shares. It is very, very small. If this pulls and people want out of this thing, it could happen real fast. So make sure you are setting your stops, especially for this one, especially up here.
I have to highlight some of these comments. I'm sorry. Zippity Doodah starring Matt Maley starting to sound like Dan Nathan. Look, we love Matt Maley here. Let's not do that to him. Mike, though. Ouch, Zippity. Dan talks more than he's correct. Look, these are professionals. I'll let you guys figure that out there. I think that Matt has been pretty consistent in his views, and frankly, I think his track record speaks for itself. He's doing pretty well. I do like those comments there. Ed, in at 8, out at 1050, 2.5 points here, done for the day, going fishing. Oh, you guys are making me jelly with all y'all going fishing.
What a good Monday.
Yeah. Izzy saying, how about the call on Nike I mentioned earlier? Sorry, I do not remember the call. I do remember talking about this, though. Remember, that was that Morgan Stanley upgrade, right? Excuse me, Jeffries, beg your pardon. The Jeffries upgrade. I think you did say that this was upgraded this morning or something like that. Nonetheless, Nike here, this has been real good here today. I was not in this. Actually, the Nike trade was probably my best trade early this year. Nike, PanW, and EA. All of those were pretty good. Nike here now going to 80. Not in it at this point.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's probably something I wanted to ask Matt about because Nike, and it seems like this has kind of been the direction they're going to go. They're really pushing into women's sports more and trying to get, they had those commercials. It seems like we look at around and see other companies that are trying to enter into more of the female sports sector. Could be a good trade going forward. That's just something I was going to ask him about. I don't know how much is there because you don't have a whole lot of companies that we could look at for that. But Nike's one of them. Maybe Lululemon. Just kind of thinking out loud here. If that's going to be the push that some of these big companies are going to be taking with their products, is going into the female athletic space.
Okay. Seems like that's an expanding market, one that should capture. That would make a lot of sense to me. ATCH, this does look to be kind of consolidating, dare I say, above that trend line. We'll see. I'll tell you what, if this does not break down, I do think we could have another pop here towards 11. This might not be done. We'll use the volume to confirm that. Currently on some selling volume here, but that's okay. Let's see if that firms up. It's not totally out of the woods yet. By the way, I was just talking about EA. I can't remember which one of y'all is still in here trading EA. Made a number of successful trades on this, and remember, the trailer that I left on here was for 140 and expires in March. Folks, despite the pullback last week, even the trailer is still in play here. Watch EA for a potential move above 134 here. Those 140 calls might still print. This actually up 1.5% here against bucking the market trend. Rest of the market not as strong. So that EA still working out.
I just tried to do NVNI at 370 and it fell. It didn't get down there. It was 3 cents short of where I was trying to go. So I canceled my order because it was bouncing. Now it still might provide a trade, but I'm not going to be in at this point.
Okay, so here, oh man, that went right to the VWAP. Let's see if this firms up on the VWAP here. I'm actually going to go to a 1 minute so we can watch some of the candle action here.
I don't like this one anymore.
You don't think this is viable here, huh?
I'm not going to try this one. It's got a couple seconds left in this candle, and if it holds VWAP, maybe it does push up higher and does the same thing it did about 20 minutes ago when it had that last big candle that pulled it down to VWAP. So I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit more careful with this one, just because the MACD looks like it's starting to roll over. Volume might be starting to dry up. I'd be a little bit careful with this one. There's going to be some better opportunities in other names, I believe.
Okay, we'll see if this holds in here. Some buying volume might kind of change the calculus here. Smoke Tuna saying NVNI is ready. I don't know if that was before this pull or not. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Tuna, so we'll see. Izzy here, I think someone else mentioned this earlier, and I apologize for not getting it. Someone mentioning Reddit. We talked a lot about some of these Momo names have really started to come in. Reddit also one of those names. So look at the move off the highs here on Reddit. 75 plus. Or 70 point plus move here on Reddit off those highs. Where's Palantir at now? Palantir looking to fill this gap. I think we probably fill this gap. I think you got some, more room to the downside here. Probably fills around 84, 83.
Yeah, Reddit down to an interesting level. We are starting to get it today. I would think that there could be some support here in the short term, but unless it starts recapturing the 50 and 20-day SMAs, I think this is still going to go lower. So we might see a short-term bounce in this one, but this isn't something I'd be jumping in front of.
Real quick, also speaking of some of these Mo names, how about TEM? Remember, this has been one of the newer AI plays. This definitely getting affected by some of the AI headlines here today. Lion Atlas saying Ryan and 13 TEM looks like a good short. Real quickly, this reports earnings after hours today. So Lion, I would ask you, are you saying a short to hold through earnings, or are you just talking about a near-term trade here today, given the weakness that we're seeing here? Smoke Tuna saying why I feel like every day the same garbage is being sold. Smoke Tuna, because that is pretty much the case. And this is sometimes some of the action that we get if we're near a near-term top. ATCH is done. It says Smoke. Sorry. Now I'm getting too excited here. See? That's how it happens here on a Monday. Smoke Tuna mentioning that this is done here. This did pull, went beneath the trend line. Honestly, we need a recapture of that trend line for this to look appealing at all. See if we get that.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit weaker. But I think I'd need to see this lose VWAP before I declare this thing dead. He's probably right. This thing, because I was talking about how this consolidation area that I was trying to push through was not making its way very well. It only got as high as 1072. But it hasn't broken down beneath some of these other levels we were looking at as resistance that are now support. And one of those levels that I'd be looking at is going to be the 745 level. So if we lose that, we're likely losing VWAP, and then that's when I would be like, oh gosh, this thing is probably done at that point.
ATCH, while we're talking here, reclaimed the trend line. Let's see if we can actually build and move above. The volume here doesn't have me all that excited. I would have loved to have seen this volume be a much bigger stick. I might have actually even tried a little bit there. Remember, I'll do that in reduced size here, especially as the market is flashing another weakness signal. By the way, we did bounce a little bit in the SPY, and it looks like we might resume selling here. Wouldn't be terribly shocked if SPY rolled over and test this 596 area again. It's going to be your intraday low from today. And a lot going on here today. By the way, Bitcoin, God, we barely even talked about Bitcoin with all the stuff going on here. Bitcoin 94K. So this did come in above the day lows, but holding lower here. Sorry, 13, get in there.
Oh, no worries. Just gonna come back around to NVNI. That pull of my order was a pretty good one, and this looks like it still might have some room lower to go. Maybe even goes under 3 before it finds support.
Okay, PDYN having a very bad day.
Ooh, WRD, We Ride actually broke above some of those resistance areas that it was getting hammered by this morning. Still has some work to do to get back up to the pre-market high of the 29.14. Coming up to resistance area. Here's the resistance areas I see for this one. You're going to be looking at 26.80. That would be one level I'd be keeping an eye on, and then 27.45.
2680. Try to mark that off here perfectly. And what was the other one? I'm sorry.
27.45.
27.45.
Beyond that, we get into that pre-market consolidation, and I don't know if they're going to get a whale to come in and push through that or not. But if we do get through that, then I think we could see that 29.14 print again. But lot of sideways action there in the pre-market. That would be the big question mark for me, is if it can get through that at 27.45.
Okay. I am going to stay away from this. This one's got me. This one's got me near. I feel like I'd give back any gains that I have here today. And with some of my longer term holdings pulling back here, the last thing I want to do is give back anything. That's for sure.
Speaking of giving back, NVNI right down to that area, that pre-market consolidation I had just mentioned, getting a little bit of a bounce, but it still looks like it could trade a little bit lower before we see a meaningful reversal. I'm not sure that this is going to be the reversal we're looking for quite yet, but it did get right down to that consolidation, so it is getting a little bit of a bounce. But
okay,
I'd be patient with this one.
Okay, wait for it to confirm. Volume stick still telling kind of a rough story there. ATPC, grats to anyone that was trading this one. This popped into an upside halt here, 172. Sideshow saying our cat looks to go under 7 here. This kind of going back to what we were just discussing about some of the Momo moves. A lot of those drone plays that were part of that Momo to the upside, those really pulling back here. ONDS, this is the one that I'm holding here. This also no stranger here. Look at this. I mean, just cut in half, really, from some of the highs that it was making on February 11th. The Momo, it'll dissipate. It'll dissipate quickly.
Yeah, but just keep an eye on these.
Sorry, one more thing to throw in here. As mentioned here on ONDS, if this does continue to get pounded and we go back into pennies again, don't think for one sec that I'm not going to sell a stock that's at 70 or 50 cents. I'll wait it out. I watched one move from 70 cents to $3 in the matter of weeks. I'll hold it out again. In fact, I will probably add considerably and lower my cost basis and sell into pop. So a long-term thesis means exactly that. I have a long-term thesis and I'm not going to get shaken out by moves that we have here. Frankly, I have been waiting for a down move in the market. So if this makes everything else cheaper, so be it. I'm all for that.
For ONDS and well, specifically, I'll talk on that one. It's coming down to the same space where the 500 and 200 day SMAs are. That has to provide a rebound, or we're going to lose $1 for sure.
And so here you go. Let me sorry, I was trying to bring that chart up while you were discussing it. Here is what you see on that daily chart, almost a complete round trip here. Let's see what happens at 107.
And then that low RSI lining up with where that support area is from those 200 and 500 day SMAs. That looks like it could be a really good area for a bounce. I'm not guaranteeing anything that it does,
Sure.
but when you consider the RSI and how much it's fallen and the SMAs, it really does have an appealing setup for a potential bounce right at that level. That would be about 107 where we could see that bounce at.
Yep. We'll see where we get it. That's exactly where those moving averages are at. MEGL, didn't we trade this one before? Magic Empire?
Megal, yeah.
Yeah, this ticker's super familiar. It looks like this is moving a little bit here.
Yeah,
Not
that's
really
shut up,
on the
Megal.
volume.
That's what we called that one. Shut up, Megal. Anyway, WRD, this one's still slowly pushing back up into that consolidation that starts to really kick in at above $27.
Here we go, right in that range that you highlighted.
And NVNI right down into that consolidation. This is where it has to turn around. If not, this thing is probably going to go even lower, maybe down into the under 250.
Chris mentioning here, Charlie just squawked some bearish manufacturing data. Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index for February, 8,300 versus the 14. That's 8.3, excuse me, 8.3 loss versus a 14.1 prior read there. So definitely a bearish read on that manufacturing number.
Big change.
And dude, ATCH, guess it wasn't done.
Nope. Still trying to push into that that consolidation area.
1148, the high print of the day. 1148. Wow.
I think I had I'd mentioned levels, but let me just actually start marking them off. 12 looks like the next good one here. I'm sorry, hold on. Yeah, 12.
I'm actually going to throw this on the chart at this point, 13. I mean, it would be stupid not to. This thing has been wild all day. I'm going to try to get it exactly at 12. Yeah, my CDO's messing with me. We're going exactly to 12. F it. Here we go. We'll see if we get to that level there.
Yeah, let me see if I can find any other crazy wild levels. I don't think that we'll get crazy wild levels because they're a little bit too high up, like in the 40s and 60s and whatnot. But one of the earliest things that I see here is 12 potentially getting hit, and then after that, I'd say about 15, maybe 1490. 1490 seems pretty good. If we take 12, I'd say 1490 to 15.
Smoke Tuna saying, I think this might be the last move. I guess, Smoke Tuna, you could be right. What do you look at or factor in when you're making a call like that? What determines if something is, in fact, the last move or not? By the way, INOD, which we talked a little bit about earlier, can't believe this thing printed 70s. This coming back in kind of with that Momo move here, too. I did notice that some puts got bought on this. Same deal with SMCI. Several of you were looking at that earlier here. SMCI, this is kind of, I know it's down 6%, but it really kind of seems like it's drifting lower, seeing more puts on that. Seeing calls on XOM. We just had Matt say energy might be kind of a bullish sector here this year, seeing some call flow in there. I am seeing calls get bought into HIMS. HIMS actually, give some of the move here, HIMS really not terrible. It's actually kind of holding up better. Big Bees, what do you think here? Is this a reloadable spot on HIMS? Some call flow coming in here.
Getting asked if ATCH is a long-term hold. I don't think I'd be confident in saying that it is just at this stage. I don't know enough about the company, but they just reported earnings that show that their earnings per share was down by negative $1.11 from $2.22 positive year over year. And, this is the one that I think we also talked about how their end of year performance showed that they had a larger net result in their earnings than is larger than their market cap. But this move here, this is I don't think this company is worth $10 or even anywhere near it. We're just getting this movement here because it's such a low float that it's easily pushed up. We're trading 76 million shares. This company has a 250,000 shares in the float. So this is just a crazy move. I don't think this is a long-term hold anywhere near up here. This thing needs to come back in, but it's providing trades, and that's all we're doing with this today.
Yeah. The one thing I will say here about ATCH, it actually, the financials don't look atrocious. Sometimes with some of these smaller movers here, we look at these and they just look absolutely awful. Not the case on this one. It actually has cash and makes money, which is interesting. We do have a market cap here of just under $1 million, yet revenue of 2.8 million. So not a terribly expensive stock. I don't have any type of line on its long-term goals or vision, though. That might be something to look into. Fintech company, by the way.
It's just that the balance sheet doesn't look very good at all. You look at the amount of debt they have, and it's too much. The balance sheet doesn't look great to me.
Webcoin here says the ATCH numbers are too hard for me to understand. Just trade the chart is the best approach. Yeah. This is exactly where I'm at with it, Webcoin. That sounds great. That sounds great.
It's still looking for 12 too. Still looking for 12.
And Smoke Tuna mentioning something here regarding some of the reverse split moves. Remember, Jay Rice has reminded us this for over a year at this point. These reverse split moves, not good. They almost always split back down to zero. Very few of these work long term. So when we're talking about that, by the way, your 12 level just got hit, popped above 1230, the high print there, 1248, your intraday high here. What a gangbusters move on ATCH. I'll tell you, one of the things that I was talking about the last couple of weeks that I wanted to work on for some of these day trades, we're going to be leaving a piece on for some of them. Another example of me being humbled here. Definitely, even if it was just 100 shares, my God, leave 100 shares on as a trailer here. That thing would be banking right now.
Yeah. So, here we are pushing or trying to push above 12. If we start closing these 5-minute candles above 12, then I'm saying, okay, well, 1490 to 15 is possible now.
Okay, well, if you say so, well, I'm putting a horizontal ray right at 15. Then I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying we should jump in here.
No, I know. I'm
super extended, but since we're pushing into the 12s, like I was kind of unsure if we would or not, but here we are. Then this thing could continue to keep going. I mean, why not? So let's just kind of identify a potential level where this thing might top out at. I think 1490 to 15 seems reasonable. There are some areas before that, like it looks like 1325 could be a potential area as well, but if we break through that, then absolutely 1490 to 15.
RETO, whoever said that this one was bunk really, really early on, good stuff. This has really given us nothing in terms of trading options or trading setups here.
Yeah.
Shadowed One saying, I need to work on leaving runners past my target as well. I feel you. So here's one of the big things that I struggle. I can actually break this down. This I have thought about recently, and I'm actually going to leave ATCH up because this continues to print highs. And I mean, I'm not in this. There's no way I'm chasing some of these big moves here at this point, especially given the market here. I'm not even gonna freak out about one of these movers, but we'll keep it on here to keep an eye on it. Here's my big problem, Shadowed One. When I don't trust the stock and I end up getting gains on it, I think to myself, I want all of these gains, right? I don't want to give them back. And if I distrust the stock itself, it's very difficult for me to leave a piece on when I think the move is volume based or just basically an intraday move. It's much easier for me if I feel that I know the company or I know the story. I'll give you a really good example. We traded iPoint. I believe, was that 2023 or was that early 2024, 13?
Both.
Okay, so I can't remember which time the trade came on, but there was one day where I day traded a chunk of it and I made, I think, like 40 cents pretty quick. But because I had a feeling for what the company was and had kind of a longer term approach, I said, you know what? I'm going to leave a chunk of these shares on here, and the thing gapped crazy the next day. And I ended up making more because of that. The only thing that told me to do that was because I trusted the story a little bit more. So when it comes to some of these like day traders, or I'm telling you stocks that I've never traded before that I see moving here and we get this technical setup, ATCH is a great example. I have no idea what Atlas Clear is. I've never traded this before. I've never owned this. So if I get a move here and I take gains on it, giddy up, but I don't feel great holding this unknown quantity for the rest of the day. That is something I definitely need to work on. And I think one of the big takeaways here is that if I'm able to make money in the first half of the trade, you'd think it'd be easier for me to kind of leave that trailer on. What's stopping me from doing that is just pure greed. I just don't want to give my money back, right? I want to be all out. And I always tell myself I can wait for another setup. It's the battle. It's the battle. It's something that I'm definitely going to work on this year.
Webcoin mentioning YYAI might give a base entry soon. He's looking at the 90-cent level. This is the one where we were talking about how the bearish pattern looked. You can draw a line at 155, and you can see that is pretty much where I was like looking at the neckline to be, somewhere around 155, 160, doesn't matter. But we got that back test of that neckline, and it went lower. And now we're back down to the pre-market consolidation area. The 200 EMA is at 87 cents. So 90 cents doesn't sound like a bad area to try this thing at, but I am not going to try it. It might provide a quick trade if it hits 90 cents, but I still think this may have lower to go. This is going to be an up to you kind of thing if you want to trade it, but I do like that potential 87 to 90 cent area as a bounce spot.
Okay.
I'm just not going to take it because I don't like this one.
Can't you move your stop up instead of selling, says John? Yes, absolutely. But even on some of these movers, sometimes they are moving around so quickly that you might even not get, especially if you're using stop limit orders. But yes, that's a strategy there. And I think, John, one of the ways that I could kind of adapt that and actually implement it then would be, let's use some actual numbers here for an example. Let's say stock sets up, you buy 1,000 shares. The stock moves in the way that you're looking for it to move. Maybe sell 900 of those, right? Or 800 of those. Or maybe, like you were saying, kind of kick your stop up, but set a stop for not the entire position and just kind of leave some of that on. How many times, though, have we seen something like this where a stock has a nice little breakout and then it completely round trips the move? This type of thing is generally what's affecting me. But there are a number of different ways that we can handle it. And any of you that have ideas, let's throw them out there, because if it's not just me, Shadowed One here is telling it's not just me struggling with this. Maybe this is something that we can all benefit from. Out ATPC, Crow, another huge winner here today. You have been active, son. Nice job on this one too. Look at the expanding volume move right to the key level. We were just talking about not having setups. Boy, this was a great setup.
Yeah,
really good stuff, Crow.
PEPG, this thing got really hammered, so that was a nice move out of the gate, and this is why I didn't want to really touch it, because we're back down to where we broke out of when we opened. So we're looking for support at about 230, 235, where the 65 EMA is.
And you really also didn't even get much of a bounce here at VWAP. We actually plunged through the VWAP and tried to reclaim it, and boy, oh boy, the move down here was even worse. And I think, this is something else. Let's see where ATCH ends, but maybe this type of thing can happen here. One of you, Izzy here, is saying every pumper on X is all over ATCH. So I see that too sometimes, Izzy. And what I will say here is that when you see that, it's even more of a sign that, hey, just be mindful of these technical levels, because that's how these other traders are trading it.
Yeah, pumpers were for a 250,000 share float stock. They're trying to get it up so they can sell, and then when that happens, it's going to be an ugly knife. Yeah. We don't want to be anywhere near this thing when that happens. I would like to see Palantir lose 90 today, though.
Shayla Vega. Is there any way to set a stop in order to make sure it gets filled last week? I set stops and they went right through them. This is kind of what I was talking about when I was answering John's question. It depends on the actual stop order that you place. If you place a stop limit order, the stock comes into a certain level, triggers the stop, then your broker places a limit order. Well, if the stock's moving quickly and you're beneath that limit order is not going to get filled. If it's a stop market order, the stock comes in, hits your stop, your broker then puts a market order out. That's going to guarantee a fill. So it really depends on what kind of stop you are using, which is one of the reasons I wanted to comment on what John was mentioning earlier. Good question, though.
Ryan G thing, baby.
Dude, that song's still one of my all-time favorites. Ain't Nothing But a G Thing. One of my all-time favorite songs. I mean, going back to my childhood. I still hum that sometimes, just for no reason at all. Smoke Tuna, this is another really good comment. This is pretty much directly cut and copied out of our happy hour. Love this. Just understand all the junks are just pumps and dumps. Never hold those bags.
We are just trading the movement, folks.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes when we talk about stocks that might have a more of a long-term prospect, we talk about that too. And I'm all for that. But that's not on everyone. We've got to trade what the market deals us every day. We got to trade the hand we're dealt. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, NVNI just gave everything back. Everything. That's why you don't want to hold these. We trade these, we get in, we get out when we see the movement we want, and then we can either look for more setups or we can move on to something else.
Perfect example. Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
this had a couple of good setups, and then once we hit $4, it turned really bearish. We don't want to be in this thing anymore, and it gave everything back.
This right here is a perfect graphical representation of why sometimes it's difficult to put on a trailer. But if we look at this, we can think, boy, if you captured, and I'm not even going to put numbers, if you captured anything in this initial move, okay, and you sold out of it, great. If you kept a trailer on, you're all the way back down, probably red on that trailing piece. This right here is where you really want to use a stop order, just to make sure that that trailing piece doesn't come all the way back in, or have it be small enough that it doesn't matter.
And that's another great point that Lion Atlas is bringing up. Before 10:30, you should be out of all junk stocks.
That's another really good point.
And the reason for this is because they're going to start to have volume thin out. You're going to have some of these real serious traders that are actually hitting these things. They're going to start talking about, oh, well, what do I want to have for lunch? And they're going to start leaving their desk, and they're not going to be trading anymore. And a lot of the volume in the market's going to just evaporate because everybody's moving on to their lunch hour. And also for the reason that Lion just mentioned, that it's just volume and liquidity really starts to dry up until the afternoon. So it's a really good practice that once these things start to get close to that 10:30 moment, and then we start to see the liquidity and the volume dry up, that's your indicator that we do not want to be jumping into these things anymore. Even if they have good setups, you might not get the follow through anymore.
See, Spot, I actually think this is a really clever comment here. Why do you think the show ends at 11?
Yeah, we can BS for another half hour.
Like that, we're providing market liquidity. Oh, that's good stuff. You guys really brought it here today, by the way. Really, really brought it here.
Yeah, you guys did. Great job. And this is great too, because now you're all locked and loaded to come back here and do it again tomorrow.
And the other thing that I'm seeing here, 13, is that we've got a market that's done nothing but show weakness from the open. Okay, there were green arrows in the pre-market, but from the open, this market has sold down. And I see almost everyone here in the chat, instead of panicking, thinking about how they can execute things, what to look for. You guys are doing a really good job staying centered with what's going on right now and keeping your eyes on the prize. And I think that's important. That's really important. There have been, when I first started doing this, oh my God, days where you get like a 1% pullback. I'd be like, what's going on? What's going on? It's just, this is part of it. Down moves are part of it. And it's going to be important to not make poor long-term decisions on days that have short-term moves like this.
Folks, if you're going to hit the like at all today, hit the like for yourselves. You're the real winners today.
We've never said that, but way to go, 13. We've never asked for likes for themselves. Let's do that.
Yeah, guys, y'all are winners today. This is great. I'm having a good time.
Justin says relative volume scanners needed. That's what I'm running right now, boss. That's what's identified some of these big moves that we've had here today. And Ryan, we are in here to help each other. We don't need to see any member of the group holding an empty bag. Thank you, God, Ryan, for saying that. Sometimes I'm worried that it's always me that's saying the same thing over and over again. Going way back to before we even started this, one of the things that I said is I want to make this different. I want to make this different from what you see everywhere else out there. I want it to be more community focused than individual focused. And I think that we've done a really good job achieving that. I look forward to continuing to do that.
And we don't have to, agree with all these different names that are moving, or whether they're going to go, or whatever the theme is. That's what makes a market. But just as long as we keep it respectful, we're all going to be winners here. So let's continue to do that. It's worked really well for us, and this is why we have the greatest group here for day trading on the chat. This is agree. This is it right here.
Totally agree.
Justin S saying RR is getting cheap. CA4 has been saying Bitcoin's still getting hammered. Which one do you want to look at?
Well, here's RR. I think this also had a drone angle, did it not? All of the drone play charts look the same. Doesn't matter if you pick RCAT, ONDS, RR, any of those. They all look the same. They're all kind of out of favor right now, giving this market pullback.
Yeah, this is a kind of an interesting area that RR is running into. It lost a 50-day SMA and it's continuing to go down. But I see that right here, right at about $2, there is a that was a previous resistance level. You can even draw a line there and look to the left. All year in 2024, this thing went underneath 2 at the beginning of the year, and it struggled pretty much the entire year to get back above 2, and it finally did in December. So now that's a very, very important support area. If we lose 2, that could be very, very ugly for the stock. But I think this is going to be a level to watch for. I think this needs to hold on to 2 if this is going to have any hope of going back up. You see what I'm talking about? I mean, you look even further to the left than that.
Yeah, I just charted the triangle that I saw here. Yep.
Yeah, so this really has to hold 2, or else it's going to be a bad day for Rich Tech.
I marked this at 203, but 13's right on the level. It's 2 right on. Yeah. It's 2 right on there. Okay, real quick. Palantir blew through 90. So did we fill? Wait a sec. Did we actually?
No,
I'm clicking too, but we didn't fill that gap yet.
No, because that's down at 85.
Okay, perfect. So Palantir then still showing some still time for that to happen.
Throw a line there at 85. Throw a line out there. That way we know. And every time you look at the daily, that just pops right out in front of your eyeballs.
Izzy here, Ryan 13, drone play out of favor because of defense spending. Well, I think there's 2 things that are going on here. The drones on the play on the way up, that was kind of like the momentum, right? That was moving with AI, that was moving with some of the other momentum things that were carrying us to the highs. Now you've got maybe we're not spending as much, and that momentum's kind of drying up. So you're seeing the backside of that momentum move. I think there's a combination of things going on there. But I'll tell you what, despite the movement that we're seeing, I am not my thoughts on drones as a whole has not changed one iota. I still think we're going to move more towards drones, especially in military applications. I still think there's drones for defense angle, reconnaissance angle. I still think there are civil areas where you could use drones. Like, just take a look at some of the fires that we saw in California. How great would it be if we had early detection by using automated drones to kind of scout areas that we can't get eyeballs on? There's a lot of really kind of positive things for the drone angle. I just think temporarily we're out of play with the Mo. That's all.
Yeah, and I'll keep repeating it because it's going to be the thing that happens. At least in my opinion. All the names that we were seeing last year, the 4 big sectors, the drones, the nuclear, the space, and the quantum, that all had these really crazy runs. With this market being the way that it is right now and turning pretty bearish, those are all going to get hammered. Let them get hammered. They are going to provide more opportunities for us in the future. Let them come down. Let everybody get scared out of them. And when they're out of favor again, that's when we want to get them.
And that's why your entry is so important, right? Because if you buy this at the top, it sucks when it's pulling back. You're like, what am I going to do? I'm losing. But if your entry is a little bit more tactical, or if you've taken a long-term approach that you're able to dollar cost average at, you're probably going to be all right.
Yeah. And Bigaby's great mention. NATO is about to spend a ton on drones. And, Denmark could be one of the biggest buyers of military equipment from the U.S. In the not too distant future. These are all themes that we can discuss and we can think about that are going to happen, because it's true. These will come back, but they've had this exuberance stage last year that they need to get past, and we're just pretty much seeing this happen in real time. So let these things just get hammered, and once nobody likes them anymore, that's when I'll be interested in them again. So we'll have that conversation again. Just let these things get hammered. Don't be trying to catch a falling knife.
Really good stuff there. And regarding this too, like, something can be out of favor until all of a sudden it's not out of favor, and it can happen really, really fast. By the way, guys, ATCH, guys and gals, I'm sorry, ATCH trading back up now, or trying to. We'll see if it recaptures that 12. That is providing resistance so far. If we get through that, though, your upside spots here, 13, 20, and 15 from earlier.
Be careful. I don't know how much more is left in ATCH, and we are getting, like Lion pointed out earlier, we are getting closer to that lunch hour. Be careful, folks.
And Lion, yes, I did. I saw earlier you had said, if I have a thesis on some of the bigger cap stocks, I throw it in the chat. It's why I highlight you folks a lot. Like we got a question earlier why I was highlighting Izzy. Well, because Izzy's often talking about stocks that are moving. You do the same thing. And it's not just you two. There's a ton of you folks in here. I couldn't even name them all if I had to. And I will keep highlighting that because if it makes it if it's helpful for the group, then I want to keep proliferating that.
Big B is mentioning that AV signed a deal with the Danes a few weeks ago. So exactly what I was talking about. I appreciate that so much because when I look at AV, we are coming down to a pretty interesting spot. That 500-day SMA is right there at 104, almost at 143 and 72 cents, which was a previous all-time high from December of 2023. That could be a support area, but no guarantee. But it's coming down to a very interesting level. I want to see that hold up. If we start to turn around, we could have a pretty interesting setup going forward. So that's a level that I'm going to be watching. We hold above that, start closing above 140. Let's just call it 143. Let's keep it 143.72. We hold above there or keep going sideways there. That's going to be an interesting spot for a reversal I'll be watching for.
And by the way, this is best in breed when it comes to drones. So we're doing a really good job talking about some of these smaller companies like ONDS and RCAT that might have substantial moves at some point in the future. AV, ready for prime time right now. So if you're looking for best in breed in some of these, adding a company like this on weakness at a support area, not the worst idea in the world. Okay, folks, we've got less than 2 minutes here. I'm going to be sending you over to Trader Bacon next. You don't have to do anything. I'm automatically going to send you there. ATCH still kind of flirting with the 12 level here. Let's see, is there anything else important that I wanted to get out of the way? VIX holding here at 19. It did peak above 20, but it's holding here at 19. And Bitcoin so far holding that 94. Oh, that was the one thing I wanted to mention. So I talked a lot about how I've been mostly a hodler with Bitcoin. I'll say this, if Bitcoin really starts to sell off and we get to like a 90K level, I am going to convert more fiat to Bitcoin. It's not going to be anything crazy. Bitcoin's still, 2-3% of my total investment portfolio, but I will be looking to add to that in stages if we continue to come in. So I'm a buyer if Bitcoin comes back in. You got any closing words for the group here?
All I got to say is you folks absolutely nailed it today. Just today, the beginning of the week. Let's come back here with the same mindset, the same preparation, and let's kill it again. And make sure we take those gains, say thank you very much, and not lose it like because we didn't do that today. We can do that again tomorrow. Let's make sure that we are just being good traders and being good people like you already are. Folks, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. By the way, Kevin, thank you. And folks, be sure to give Kevin a follow on X. He does a really good job tweeting things. Kevin, sometimes when I'm not looking at my screens and you tag me in a piece of news, I actually go ahead and read the article there because it's been such a timely call. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you trying to help our group out here. Shout out to you. Thank you, folks. You guys are really, really awesome. And as 13 said, we're going to see you tomorrow. So 13's out of here. I'm sending you over to Trader Bacon right now. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Monday. We are one day closer to NVIDIA.